I don't know much about Ray Haroon, but the other three, they were guys who are totally at the top of their game when they won at Indianapolis.
Absolutely, and so you can maybe use that as a bridge. Who's at the top of their game right here, right now in the Rolex Sports Car Series? We asked some of the competitors about their thoughts on taking Grand Am to the Brickyard.
What you'd call a race at home for us. You know, our team is based in Indy. And not only that, you know, it's such a historical place, you know, a track any driver wants to race at, and we're all excited about it.
And it's going to be great for Grand Am. Grand Am has been having some awesome and competitive races. I think all the fans are going to love it.
Being at the kind of the epicenter of racing here in the United States is awesome, and looking forward to being there with Grand Am.
I've always personally wanted to drive at Indy, of course, who hasn't? The course looks awesome. It's got some high speed, it's got some twisties. I'm really excited to go there.
I know part of the track is the same they used to run in F1, and the other part is what they run in MotoGP. I don't know, I'll tell you the truth, I actually played some Xbox the other day. We did a thing with Xbox with the, you know, Forza 4, and they have the track, and it's pretty damn accurate, so I'm going to be playing that in the next few weeks.
Not only does JPM Juan Pablo Montoya get to go back to Indy, we're going to have a gurney back at Indianapolis, and that's exciting. I'm sure Alex is keen to get back there, Jamie.
Alex, we've been talking about Grand Am going to Indy for the first time. It's been a good track for your family. What are your thoughts on going there in Grand Am?
Yeah, I mean, we're all really excited about it. I guess it's been 50 years since my dad first got there in 1962, so that's pretty neat deal. And yeah, we can't wait to race there. Everyone's so excited about it.
Today, you guys have had more challenges with the power steering. You don't look like you are working hard right now, but you've been cooling off for a little bit. How tough is it?
Yeah, it's pretty hard, especially when the tires are new. I mean, the car generates a lot of grip in the middle of the corner, and we have to run it on the lowest setting because it's overheating, and that seems to keep the temperature just borderline. So, you know, luckily John's got some Popeye arms, so he should be fine in there, and hopefully we'll be good at the end.
We talk about teams who choose to put in a third driver for the endurance races. Why did you guys decide just to stick with the two of you?
I don't know, because we're super awesome, I guess. I don't know. You know, we've done it before. We won in 07, and, you know, we can handle it.
Definitely super awesome. Thank you.
Talk about going to Indy doors. That Ray Haroon guy, man, I know you raced against him back in 1911. Was he any good?
He was at the top of his game back then when he won, yeah.
Back to it. See what a long race does to us, folks. Our minds wander. Look at this. Speaking of wandering, look at that Turner Motorsport BMW. That's Billy Johnson, a 3-driver strategy for the boys from Massachusetts. And Johnson is relishing this opportunity. He's not going to do a silly move here. They want 75 Matt Bell. He knows what tight, close GT competition is all about. He races for Roush Performance in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. And if you haven't seen that racing, it's like this all day long, every weekend long.
And he is one of the most aggressive drivers in that class, and certainly one of the most successful, always in the chance for a win. But right now he's been drafted in with this team. This is a team that he competes against in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series, so that's another weird dynamic. We talked about Andrew Davis running against the Stevenson team, but very weird that you'll actually hire one of your competitors to come and join you as a teammate. But Paul Dalla Lana saw Billy Johnson's skill out on the racetrack. He said, we want him as part of our team, and that is a pretty strong driver lineup. He, Bill Overland, and Paul Dalla Lana has really turned into one of the best Pro-Am drivers in the business.
And Matt Bell definitely knows he's back there, because every time he sneaks up, Matt Bell gets completely defensive with the Camaro going to the inside for all these corners.
When you have two classes of cars at different closing speeds, there is always going to be the potential for contact. We saw it just a few moments ago between Richard Westbrook and the 56 AF Waltrip Ferrari with Rui Agua behind the wheel. Now watch, there goes Oz Negri through past Rui, and here comes the contact. Bang, right there. And that was enough to deflate that rear left tire of Richard Westbrook's Spirit of Daytona Corvette and damage the rim and send him limping back to pit lane. How did he see it? What happened from the driver's seat? Let's hear from Westy now.
Well, he was actually just watching the replays, talking to Troy right now. Richard, GT traffic has not been nice to Spirit of Daytona this year. What happened from the driver's seat out there?
Well, there's not a lot I could do about that. I was past the Ferrari, and then I got hit in the left rear, so there's not a lot you can do, really. I mean, I don't think we're bringing it on ourselves. It's just hard racing out there, and it's We're having tough luck with the traffic at the moment for sure, but I don't think it's, you know, we're bringing it on ourselves.
You guys experienced endurance racers and you're holding on to the back of that lead lap. There's still plenty of time to go. How do you focus on just getting to the checkered flag and ignoring what's happened?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a tough race, this is, but we're on the lead lap. We've got a fast car. We just need a yellow, and then we're all back in the back, so it's game on. It's game on.
You, Ollie, and Antonio, all good friends. You share the car. It's kind of like Lee, Calvin, and Dorsey up in the booth. Do you guys fight for who gets to drive as much as they fight for who gets to talk?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. All I heard is that we're really good friends.
I said, you and Ollie and Antonio, do you fight over who gets to drive as much as Lee, Dorsey, and Calvin fight over who gets to talk up in the booth?
Yeah, we argue a lot and we gamble a lot on like who's buying dinner and stuff like that. But no, we all got on really well. It's a really nice atmosphere in the camp, and yeah, we're just praying for a good result here.
I had to ask that question, Lee, because as we were waiting to do that interview, he said, I know Lee's talking right now, but at least it's not Calvin.
Well, we're just looking forward to that meal that we're going to enjoy when we beat him and Antonio at golf next month.
Exactly,
very
mate.
tasty.
Exactly. We'll keep you abreast of that and how we perform, unless we lose.
Yes, then we'll keep it.
The 10 is back out on track on more serious note. Ricky Taylor was asked to just remain patient, stay calm. We've identified the problem. We have now fixed the problem, and it's your job to go out there and play catch up and get us going again. It's a tough break though for the 10 again.
It's tough to dig deep though. You're 10 laps down on the overall lead, and you know, you're trying to gain in the points, but you know, this is going to be a long 3 hours for these boys now, Dawes.
All you can do is play the odds and hope everybody else breaks. This GT battle is really getting intense here.
All right, Billy Johnson around the outside of Matt Bell. They're used to racing each other in the Conti Series. And Bell's going to have the inside run here, and he's not going to relinquish that position, is he?
I like the, they did bump right there.
Yeah, he kind of leaned on him a little bit there. He could have tightened his hands. He didn't. He said, I'm going to use all of the track. Billy had to adjust, but as you said, Lee, these guys are used to trading paint on a regular basis, and they're enjoying their runs in GT competition right now.
I was just about to say, I admire the amount of respect they're showing for one another when this happened.
Oh, what's this? There's the respect for you.
Yeah. If you hit me, I'm going to hit you right back.
Yeah. So much for that.
Through goes the 7. That is the older generation Daytona prototype for Starworks with Mark Wilkins behind the wheel.
They're doing a good job. They're in the 7th spot. Remember, this is the older generation car, what we call Gen 2, and now on the Gen 3 iteration of the DPs. Mark Wilkins joining Colin Brown and Scott Mayer this weekend, and coming off a brilliant victory for Kia in the World Challenge Series up at Mosport last weekend.
That's Will Turner, the tall gentleman on the right-hand side. Billy Orblin looking on as they're watching Billy Johnson fight for third place in GT. Let's go to the Turner camp now.
Bill Oberlin watching on as your new co-driver Billy Johnson is out there in your race car doing some battle. What are your thoughts as you watch on with this competition?
Oh, I'm watching the TV. We're at the 3-hour mark and we're battling that hard. Imagine what it's going to be like at the 6-hour mark when we got to take it to the end and try to get to the top step of that podium. We have a pretty strong car, but it looks like a lot of other people have very strong cars. Turner, the last couple of races, has given us amazing race cars. Continental tires do not drop off one bit in a 50-minute stint. So all in all, everything's looking good, and now we just got to put our head down and grind our way to the end.
Everything's going well, lots of smiles, but lots of nail biting down here at Turner.
It's just good hard racing, good hard sports car racing, isn't it? Sylvain Tremblay is out in front of this GT class, and I just want to reiterate that that car was in front for GT at the 3-hour mark, the halfway mark, to win maximum North American Endurance Championship points. So well done to the boys from Florida. Nice work in their quest to win that title and that $50,000. Need to go to a break. Hope you can stay with us. We've still got so much more to come. You're watching Sports Cars live on Speed. This is the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series, the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen, the second longest race of the year in this series. Lee Diffie, Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Jamie Howe and Brian Till with you. It's a pleasure to be live all the way through this race. And we have got a new race leader, Ryan Dial, the Scotsman, who led this championship for several rounds this year. He wants to be a Rolex Series champion. He's got a 3-time champ chasing him down. Mexico's sports star superstar, Memo Rojas, will not not like looking at the rear end of this StarWorks Daytona prototype.
And let's talk about the year that StarWorks have had. They finished second at the big one in this series, the Rolex 24-hour race, but on debut in the World Endurance Championship, they won at Sebring. They're coming off a brilliant month where they won at Le Mans. Can they add the 6-hour title to that list?
You know what they say about momentum, and you know, this team is up on highs. No doubt about it. They've done a really good job. I like that. I like that thought.
Remember, the 8 came in earlier on pit stop rotation, then it was the 01, and then the 9 that grabbed the bonus points for the North American Endurance Championship came in last of the front runners. The scramble is on at the front. From these guys back to the next car, the 99 Red Dragon for Gainsco Bob Stallings Racing is 4 seconds. So this is a one-on-one fight with 2.5 hours to go.
I'll tell you what, fuel mileage could be critical. I know we're a long way from the end of this thing where it could be a big factor, but remember that Ford car did 2 less laps than the BMW powered machine right behind him. Some of that is down to that revs, Dorsey. When you get more revs like they have up to 7,300, that is going to burn fuel as well.
And there's no doubt about that. The harder you push the engine, more horsepower you make, more fuel you burn.
Ford versus BMW. They're both the same chassis. They're both American-made, Riley designed out of Mooresville, North Carolina. These Riley chassis, they're the most prolific, the most successful chassis in the history of the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. 1, 2, just different power plants, different teams, different drivers. Back to the best of the Corvettes in third. For Gainsco is Fogarty. We've got a string of Corvettes. Darren Law and his Action Express teammate Terry Borchella 4th and 5th. John Pugh in 6th. Wilkins 7th. Garcia 8th. And still on the lead lap. That's the most important part to put next to Garcia's name. So the top 8 on the lead lap. And Fogarty here having a bit of a lonely race. He's all by himself in third, and he is just miles ahead of the 9.
Yeah, but he's doing a good job, and the good news for that team is the car seems to have pace. So they're just riding it out, just working with their strategy, working with their fuel numbers. The big thing is keeping that power steering working. They've dialed it way back, as they mentioned earlier in the race, and that's cooled it off, Dorsey. And they're really running at the minimum setting where the drivers can handle the race car without wearing themselves out, and that cools the pump a little bit and allows it to operate correctly.
They really had no choice about that. The drivers just got to muscle up and hang on to that thing. You know, they've got it turned way back, like you say here. Coming up into the brake zone.
You may have noticed we got a new third place in GT. Billy Johnson's got that Turner Motorsport BMW M3 up into the top 3. So it's Sylvain Tremblay, John Edwards, and then Billy Johnson. How did he get that third place? Take a look at this. Cal, talk us through.
Well, they've been duking it out, as Bill Aublin said. I can't believe how intense this is. I think there was a double message there, like he liked the racing, but do we really need to be trading paint? But here you see Matt Bell get a little bit loose there, coming out of the 2 of the boot, should I say, and that gives Billy Johnson the run down into the next brake zone. The pass is complete.
Billy Johnson set that up really good. He went in there and he knew he couldn't get to the inside, so he worked the outside. He went out, turned later, and waited for the crossover move. It worked.
Sounded like you just had a Welsh accent there, Cal.
Yeah, I know.
The boot.
Just finishing a sandwich.
The
Portuguese too, throw a couple of marbles in my mouth.
The wounded number 2 soldiers on with Lucas Luer behind the wheel. He was also driving when it had the damage on the front end earlier in the weekend. But Peter Barron has his StarWorks guys never say die. We've got rear wing end plate damage on the right-hand side. Just one of the fasteners perhaps has come loose.
Trying to fall off is what it's trying to do. You can feel that too, Calvin, with that thing moving around like that, with the amount of force and leverage it has at the back of the car.
Car is quick, though. This is really disappointing for those guys to have those problems. The car was really quick in practice after the incident with Lucas Luer when he said the power steering got a bit heavy on him there. The right front damage, got the car back on track, and it was immediately on pace. Popoff was brilliant in qualifying, up there in the top 5.
66, this is Irish driver Damien Faulkner, who is with the trio of Ben Keating and Brian Sellers. Good solid trio of drivers there. Porsche guys feel that they really don't have the same punching power here at Watkins Glen this weekend. They knew it was going to be a tough slog for them over the 6 hours. Faulkner is a really talented young driver from Ireland, spent time here in Indy Lights in the US some years ago. He's done a good variety of driving, some Porsche Super Cup. So this again is a good trio, but where is he? He's 10th in class at the moment, chasing down Eric Foss.
Yeah, and he's teamed up with Brian Sellers this weekend. We all know Brian very well. He's a regular in the series. And Ben Keating, he's really the Pro-Am guy, but he's a Viper Cup champion. He's won all 4 of the races this year, so he's on form. And Kevin Buck Buckler was pretty bullish about his chances here this weekend, but as you said, Lee, Porsches right now not showing at the front of the pack.
Now, on a cool day, those Porsches at the rear might give it some more negative camber, maybe up to a degree more than what they're running. But because of the high ambient temperature that we've been seeing and the high track temperatures, they've been advised not to run beyond 2.5 degrees negative, or they'll blister the inside of those tires. So that is a speed compromise. Now, it's not a mandate, it's just a suggestion. But if you go there and you start blistering tires, you're not going to win this race either.
Here's the sister car, the 67 Adobe Road Winery B Positive Foundation car. Spencer Pumpelly, Wolf Hensler, and Al Carter drafted into this team at the last minute to take Steve Berthow's spot. And Al certainly enjoying that opportunity to go hard here at Watkins Glen. They're in 11th position, so the TRG car's 10th and 11th. Meanwhile, the battle is on at the front. This isn't going away in a hurry, that's for sure. Keep in mind, a regular Rolex Series race is 2 3/4 hours. We've got 2 hours 32 to go, so it's kind of like resetting the clock, rolling up your sleeves, here we go.
Yeah, and I think what's cool when you look at some of the dynamics going on here this weekend, Sebastien Bourdais drafted in with the StarWorks team to co-drive with Ryan Dalziel and Enzo Podolicchio. He got in that car and was immediately on the pace, and talking to some of the team members, that got Ryan's attention, got his feathers ruffled a little bit. I mean, there's good chemistry there, there's nothing wrong, don't misinterpret what I'm saying here, but when you have someone come in like that, it raises everyone's game. Not saying that anyone's complacent, everyone's doing a brilliant job this year, but you suddenly get a little spark in the fire there, Dorsey, and that can move you on to another level of performance. This is good stuff. I like the way they're doing it.
Drivers are superstitious, A, and B, they don't like anybody messing with their stuff. And when you get a co-driver, somehow they're messing with your stuff.
Keep in mind, we have not seen Enzo Podolicchio in the car yet. Or did Enzo start? I'm second guessing myself now. Yes, Enzo started. I take that back. My apologies. And Enzo is in the championship hunt with Ryan Dalziel. So he has done his 30 minutes. He will get championship points. I wonder if we'll see him back in the car before today is done, or will Dalziel and Bourdais just see it out?
Well, remember, we talk about the Rolex guys who have done 4 races in 29 days. In amongst that was an off weekend. Well, guess what? The StarWorks boys were over in Le Mans winning their class there. So Enzo Podolicchio, he'll be pretty burned out. So I'm sure with a fresh driver like Sebastien Bourdais sitting there, he'd be more than willing, Dorsey, to let him have the reins and see if they can win this race.
I agree. This racetrack to the driver is extremely physical because of the G-loads coming up through the S's. The guys are flat out top gear. You go through that little inner loop right here, it's going to beat up the driver. You really get pummeled. And then comes the hard part. When you turn through the old turn 5, you head down through the socks of the boot, through the toe of the boot, up that whole area through that boot. Well, you're really getting your head pulled on real hard. The G-forces right here through this corner, you get tired. I mean, there's no doubt. And if you've done 4 out of 5 weeks doing this physical activity, it doesn't give your body much time to rest up.
The StarWorks team as a unit, the personnel here in the States, the majority of that team didn't go to Europe. They utilised services of a European-based team, but nonetheless, they're still very tight. Good work from Johannes van Overbeek. He ran in the top 4 for the majority of his stint in GT. He's in 5th at the moment, bringing that ESM Patrone Ferrari. Not sure if Scott Sharp, team owner, is here this weekend, but if he's not, he'll be watching, and I'm sure he's pleased with the progress of his boys. Nice work. 41 Dempsey car is in. Time for a driver change there as well. Still plenty going on and plenty of time to run. The Salem 6 Hours of the Glen. You're watching Sports Cars on Speed.
With a vibration in the engine, that's an internal problem, and something in there is loosening up and about to fail.
Watch as we come off the corner. It just pushes them out now.
I mean, both cars were racing. Happens in racing, doesn't it?
SunTrust goes to victory lane in very damp conditions at Homestead Miami Speedway. Max the Axe Angelelli and Ricky Taylor finally win at New Jersey Motorsports Park.
Oh, he hit the wall.
These guys were going for 3 wins in a row. Contact him over the Angelelli.
I think he's got tired as he does. Right rear's flat.
After 2 poor results for the SunTrust team, it looked like the sun was going to shine on them here at Road America, but under caution, Ricky Taylor, he's had a problem and made contact with the wall.
For one of Grand Am's most celebrated teams, it has been a very mixed season, and this is a sad, sad sight. This hole, remember we said it at the top of the show, when you're in a hole, it just seems to be getting deeper, and that very much is the case for Wayne Taylor's SunTrust Racing. It's Salem 6 Hour over and out for this man's team. Tell us more, Brian.
Well, I think you said it, Lee. When you're in a hole, sometimes you just can't dig your way out. And Lady Luck not shining on you guys. You replaced that wishbone in the back. Seems like the damage must have been more than that, Wayne.
Yeah, we're a little worried about an upright failure. And the way we've been running, we just can't take that kind of risk. We've already put the drivers at risk. And so at this point, from a safety aspect, it's better for us to pull off.
Tough decision to make, but a wise one around this racetrack. If you've got a suspension component that fails, you're going to be in big trouble.
Well, it's the nature of this racetrack, and that's what I said on my open. With these high-speed, high-load corners, it pays. You know, it takes a toll, and of course, the suspension failure, even if you think you might have one, on a course of this speed is not worth the risk.
But you're almost making a statement, guys, in terms of the championship.
Yep, conceding.
Want a race? We've got it. Look at these boys going at it. This has not changed lap after lap after lap. Scottish-born driver Ryan Dial fending off the Mexican Memo Rojas.
Rojas has been very impressive here today, Lee. I mean, really done a great job in the thick of the traffic. Had that little bump with one of the cars, but other than that, Dorsey, flawless performance by Memo. He's been on fire this year, some great runs.
Yeah, another really great performance, like you said, Calvin. We've been very impressed this year. He's stepped his game up, there's no doubt about it.
When you take a step back, boys, and take a broad view of this year's Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series, in the past, we've always spoken about the big three: Ganassi, Gainsco, SunTrust. What we've seen this year, folks, is somewhat of a sea change. Ganassi, or rather Gainsco and SunTrust, have really had seasons to forget. We've seen the emergence of teams like Starworks, Spirit of Daytona. We're mixing it up a little bit. Different teams, different cars, different drivers at the front of this pack. Oh, that's tight for Rojas. Getting around the 52, that was tight, really tight.
Had to go a little bit risky, but I think what you're seeing is, Lee, of those big three teams, the Ganassi team have weathered the storm. They haven't had a fast car rolling off the truck these early season races, but they've continued to work. They're now executing. They're always good on strategy. They very rarely make mistakes, yet we're seeing the 10 team and the 99 team either have driver errors, in the case of the 10 team and the 99 car, a lot more issues with the car than we're used to seeing.
You know, bad luck is something you can't change. You want to, and I've heard several ways of getting it done, none of them that we can mention on here. But anyway, that's just a bad part of racing. You fall into a year sometimes that you can't, like you say, you're in the hole, you can't dig your way out. And there's nothing really, there's no cure.
Fitness lap, we need to change your radiator. Confirm, fitness lap.
Who is
that's Tim Keen.
No driver change, correct? No driver change.
No driver change.
Wow, radiator on the 01. We had no indication of that.
They used that quick disconnect system. They had that dry brake, I believe, Lee, on that car, which they utilized at the Daytona 24-hour race in case it's needed. So they might be able to get this done within the lap. But this is going to be a lot of work for these boys to do it under green. I'm sure they would really be wishing they could do that if they have an issue like they're thinking. See Memo slipping around. Maybe he's got a leak there on the front tires.
Oz Negri behind is a lap down, but he is very close to getting his lap back. This is encouraging signs for Mike Shank Racing, not so encouraging for the Telmex BMW Riley.
Don't see any fluid, Dawson, at this stage.
They're seeing that off a temperature monitor. I don't see any fluid either. Well, we'll watch this.
We're going to see the heat of the battle in pit lane. We talk about the guys not making mistakes. Now they've got to execute something you don't anticipate in a sprint race like this, even though it is 6 hours.
Hood coming off, or what you would call the front bodywork. There is a radiator sitting up against the wall. Engine is off. Pruitt stays behind the wheel. Yep, I see fluid all over the front splitter, so obviously some type of damage either to the radiator or the hoses. This team will go to work and try to get this done, but this is a fix that doesn't happen quickly, although they're using quick disconnects on the lines. That will help, but you got to worry a little bit about air in the system, and obviously very, very hot. Memo Rojas, I should say, behind the wheel, will stay in the car. They'll get it done. Hopefully no air in the system. The quick disconnects that they use help with that. they'll get this Telmex BMW back on track here.
Brilliant piece of engineering you're looking at right there, folks. Not cheap either. Those quick disconnects shut off the fuel flow. As soon as they disconnect it, the the water stops there. There also is another valve over there where they can purge water into the system that carries more pressure than the system itself can handle. And so it'll just actually run water through the system until it runs it out the overflow. This repair is almost done.
They're the only team that run that configuration of radiator in these Daytona prototypes. How quickly can they get it done? Where is the 8 of Ryan Dalziel?
It's going to be within the lap, Lee. This has been a pretty nifty stop.
I'm looking out of a commentary box window to look for that 8 Starworks Ford Riley.
Not sure that the could get done there.
Here he comes. It's tied. It's tied.
Going to lose a lap.
Yep, they went down a lap.
It's close. But even the long lap here at Watkins Glen, it's only a minute 45-ish. And that was like a 2-minute fix.
So now they go to a regulation stop. Tires, fuel. While you're there, you may as well do it. It gives them an opportunity to roll the dice next time round on strategy for the next caution or what may be.
A conventional change of a radiator like that, 15 minutes you're looking at. Easy 15 minutes. If you can get it done by then, and there's a lot of risk involved with the hot water, etc. This way, clean and efficient.
See them there. I think they're going to send him on the same set of tires, hoping to stay on that lead lap, but probably things took maybe 10, 20 seconds longer than maybe they thought they could do at maximum efficiency, and so they said, let's get him fully serviced, hope for a yellow, we'll wait for the wave by.
The question would become to a lot of people is why doesn't everybody just go to that system if it's so keen and so neat? Well, first of all, you don't change radiators very often, and secondly, that option of having that quick disconnect is wicked expensive.
Very clever boys, and they've got some good resources at their disposal. I want to tell you about Patrick Dempsey, Hollywood actor, Hollywood star, and his team. They're experiencing some woes as well as the 40 Mazda goes back into the paddock area to find their hauler and do some extended work.
Yeah, we heard some rumblings about the exhaust system on this car, and it was affecting the engine management system, which was reading that the car was not right, and it went to full lean. It's going to burn the engine up if they run it that way.
The sister Dempsey Racing Mazda has a good chance of getting a top 10 here in this Salem 6 Hours of the Glen, so that's promising signs. Meanwhile, Oz Negri is trying to get back on the lead lap. This is a good scrap between 2 Ford-powered cars and the top 2 in the Rolex 24 at Daytona. This is what it was like all the way back at the end of January, these guys going at it. But let's check in at Dempsey Racing.
Well, it's much calmer on the 41 side at Dempsey Racing. Charles Espinal, that was not the case earlier in the day, though. You guys are finding yourselves back vying for a top 10 position. What's been going on?
Oh, we had a little contact with a couple of the DPs earlier, and I tried to not squeeze them out, so we had to come in and fix a little bit on that. But the Dempsey guys have got the 41 Bassett, Bill Fish, Mossett back running, and it's a long race, and we'll see how it pans out.
What are your expectations for the end of the race? How hard do you think you'll have to fight?
I think it's going to be a pretty tough battle towards the end. A lot of guys are still going pretty strong, and we'll see how much car's left at the end, but looking forward to the battle at the end. We'll see what happens.
They're having a little bit of fun with that alligator head too.
Yeah.
Whoa! That's Oz Negri lighting it up. There's a lot on the line here, because if he can get by Dalziel, he's back on the lead lap and back in business next time a caution comes out.
That was a good catch, Dorsey. When you can see it, that volley from outside the car, inside, it is big time.
Yeah, he had quick hands and a handful of steering wheel right there, got up on the wheel to get that. I would think Peter Barron would be telling him that this is not for position. This is Oz trying to get a lap back. And if it gets too hot on the heels, I just would let him go if it were me.
In GT, I want to let you know that 4 laps ago, the 70 Speed Source Mazda came in, and that means Billy Johnson has been cycled to the top of the order in GT as he comes in right on cue. Matt Bell is second, Andrew Davis, and then Bomarito. So good, wide variety of cars and teams having a great scrap for honours in GT. Is there going to be a driver change here? No is the answer. Billy Johnson's going to stay in. Why not? He's young, he's fit.
And doing a good job.
This car seems to have come alive. They got 50 pounds taken off the car prior to Mid-Ohio, and suddenly it's competitive, Jamie.
And I think they're going to remain competitive here by doing this quick pit stop. They're just going to do 4 new Continental tires as well as some fuel, and Billy Johnson will stay behind the wheel of the car. They are running on stickers. They are not running on scrub tires. We heard Bill Oberlin say in that interview that they have a great tire wear right now, much better than the Porsches have been seeing this weekend. Fuel now complete. They're still out there fighting.
think this is going to be a fascinating battle over the next 2.25 hours in GT in particular. The 8 car has been serviced. Ryan Dial, well done. I'm sure Ryan's going to stay in there for another stint.
Would expect John Fogarty, who's now assumed the lead of this race, to be pitting here within the next lap or so. The Ford does seem to be burning a little bit more fuel. We saw the 01 car go 2 laps longer.
Look who's leading GT, guys.
Famous 59. They did it a year ago. They being Andrew Davis and Lee Keane. Wouldn't it be a marvellous story if they could do it again? They desperately need a podium, let alone a win. Well, I couldn't say they need a win, let alone a podium, because it's been somewhat frustrating for the 59 this year.
How many years of racing fans have seen this 59 Porsche lead here at Watkins Glen?
I'll tell you a nice bit of history between Andrew Davis, Brumos and Hurley Haywood. This was the site of Hurley Haywood's first professional win. It was also the site of Andrew Davis's first win for Brumos. And Andrew's a real historian of the sport, and he still pinches himself. He can't believe he drives for Brumos, let alone win a championship with Brumos.
And that was a dramatic win. Remember last year, boys, they were really tight on fuel. We got a caution, and they got split with the pack, remember? And suddenly the light bulb went on. I was like, boy, if we rush around here, we can pit and maintain the lead. And the irony was Jordan Taylor was running in second, and it was Ricky Taylor leading the race, who balked him from really making the leap around. 99 is in, Jamie is on the spot.
And Alex Gertie will stay behind the wheel of the car. Sorry, John Fogarty will stay behind the wheel of the car. They are still experiencing some problems with that power steering, but they have it situated for now. One thing that the team is doing on this scheduled stop is replacing the cooler that cools down for the driver's cool suit system. And all it is a standard cooler with a block of ice, and it has a motor on it, pumps cold water through the cool strip. That's already done.
Team manager Terry Wilbert slams the door and says, get going. We are in this race. And I have to say, as a 2-time championship winning team and driver combination, it's great to see the Red Dragon back. We'll see what they can do in the next 2 hours. If you've been out and about today, let's bring you up to date with what's happened thus far in the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen. A wayward rear deck lid from the 51 APR Audi R8. Then very frightening scenes for John Potter's Magnus 44. John, the owner, was behind the wheel when this occurred very early in the race.
Yeah, just a disaster for this team, who are leading the North American Endurance Championship in the GT division, and second retirement in a row with an engine blow at the last round at Road America.
Remember, that was the Rolex 24 winning car. How about Max the Axe Dorse on the inside of Donahue?
It's around inside Donahue. David once again not too happy, and they did make contact. That was a 10 car losing its rear body work.
That brought on some very slick pit work from the SunTrust boys. They were able to get that car sent out ahead of the lead pack.
You can see the pack coming, but that wasn't the end of the drama for the 10 SunTrust team. Problems with the right rear suspension. Initially a wishbone, now some concerns with the upright. That car looks like it's been retired for the day, and the drama continues for Wayne Taylor.
John Pugh in the 60, trying to go up the inside of Martin Ragginger and went for some dirt tracking. A pretty wild ride.
No damage done, but the car wouldn't refire, so he lost a lap, gained it back, and it's still soldiering on.
Oz Negri and Terry Borcella trying to make 2 through the inner loop.
Same car.
2 into 1, doesn't go.
That caused us to pit right before the 3-hour mark, so consequently I think they've lost the lead in the Endurance Championship at this point. Now we're looking at the 90 car. Westy on board, going around the AF Corsa, or the AF Waltrip car, should I say, gets touched in the left rear. Brings down that left rear corner, Dorsey.
Took out the left rear wheel, and of course there's the tire carcass. We thought this would bring out a caution, but look, it escaped.
And then more drama here.
What's going on with the exhaust? Tom said the exhaust broke, so the lambdas are showing that something with the exhaust is very wrong. Basically the car is going full lean.
And that's the message to Patrick Dempsey. That is most recently. Now, we had some exciting times at the 3-hour mark of this race. That's where the next round of points were awarded for the North American Endurance Championship. And even though they didn't grab the points at the 3-hour mark, look who has cycled to the top.
Yeah, they'd have been 2 points further down the road. They lost a couple there to the Action Express team, so it brings the Action Express team within 3 of the lead. So all to play with, and there's another 10 points going to the winner of this race today.
GT looks like this, Dorse.
Magnus Racing, 20 points. It was a disaster here, no doubt about that. Brumos is only one behind us, and Stevenson is.
And remember, the next round or next allocation of points gets awarded at the end of this race, so at the 3-hour mark and at the 6-hour mark. And a reminder about that super weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Speed Inside Deals. It's an exclusive ticket deal for that July 27th weekend. If you purchase your tickets now online during this live broadcast of the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen, you can save $6 on a general admission ticket. It makes it very, very affordable. Ticket price is some $24. Go to speed.com/deals to enter the promo code, which is SPEED6. SPEED6 is that promo code. Most important thing, you've got to buy them online during this 6-hour broadcast.
You only have 2 hours and 5 minutes left, too.
Get on it. Tell you who's getting on it is John Fogarty. They've done a very good job here of controlling this race car and managing this power steering issue. They've dialed it way back. They've maintained the car at a very good pace, and that has now got them the lead of the race with the problems with the 01, and the other guys now cycling through the pit lane. The 9 car was in. It was fuel and tyres only. Darren Law stayed behind the wheel, giving up the lead.
It's a really special track for the 99 team, and if they can manage to stitch together a podium, an extra bonus would be a win. It'd be something very, very special. As Jamie Howe mentioned earlier in the show, this is the 7th season for this team. They have never, ever had 3 DNFs in a single season, but that in a nutshell describes the 2012 season for Bob Stallings' boys. So it's all heading back in the right direction right now. Another team in red is the FXDD Ferrari team, as we see one of the Salen's Mazdas slowing. I wonder what the story is there. That car really grinding to a halt. We'll check back on that story, but for now, let's go to the FXDD boys. Here's Brian Till.
Watkins Glen, a pretty special racetrack to Jeff Siegel as well. You and Emil Asentado leading the championship points right now in GT, but last round at Road America was the first race I've heard you say this Ferrari wasn't handling the way we wanted to. You get 35 pounds of additional weight. Is it the weight here, or is it the damage to the car that's holding you back?
No, I mean, 35 pounds definitely doesn't help. I think the bigger thing is that the spread has grown. We got 35 pounds added to us, and some other cars got 30 or 35 pounds taken off. So that difference makes more of a difference. For us, we're having an okay day. We got shuffled back into the pack with an incident earlier in the race that was with me at the wheel. And when we're behind cars, when we don't have track position, we can't do the lap time. So we need clean air in order to do a quick lap. We're making it up in the corners and on the brakes, and in traffic, we just can't do it. So right now, we're chipping away at it. We're in a decent position. We got a long way to go left in the race. I'll get back in and do the rest of the race after Anthony's next stint. We're looking on track, I think, for a top 6, top 5, and who knows, maybe there's a little more there if things fall our way.
This team has certainly called good strategy shots in the past. Look for them to do it again today. It's like Jeff said, they're not out of this yet.
If Wayne Taylor wore those glasses, you couldn't find his face. Those are some big glasses, I'm not kidding.
Since Road America, there have been some competition adjustments to the GT cars as far as weight is concerned.
Yeah, and what Jeff was talking about is the delta. You can see there that the Camaro and the Corvette have had 35 taken away. They've been added 35, so it's a 70-pound difference. The Porsche, depending on which engine you're running. Now, the TRG boys all switched back to the 3.8-litre motor for this weekend, so they're 20 pounds off. And the 4-litre engine, like in the 73 and what was in the Magnus car, they are 30 pounds lighter, can run that way.
It's Joe Salen.
Yeah, the 43 car we saw going slow has found a spot between the guardrails to put itself. So maybe it won't bring out the caution. That's at pit in, guys, right there. I don't know why. Maybe he's hoping somebody come push him in.
Just checked in with Team Salen, and Joe Salen on the radio saying he's out of fuel. They were set up and ready for a pit stop. He was running on fumes there at the end, cut it too close, and he cannot make it to his pit stall.
Oh, that's a shame. Look at it. There's a distance right there. He's at pit in.
I don't think this will cause a caution, because they're right there. They could pull him backwards and out of the race, or give him a hand and push him down pit lane.
This is where that $100 Jack Roush gave us.
Yeah.
Coming
you want a hot dog? You boys hungry?
Barter a deal. Get me down the road.
That's a great story, that Salen story. It's 5th generation of Salen's enter the business, and Joe is at the head of that company business that was founded in 1869 in Buffalo, New York. They do their cold cut meats, they do their hot dogs. They're legendary in this part of the state and the country. And that's a shame to see that race end that way for him.
Dorsey's their biggest customer for cold cuts, right, Dorsey? Love the flat meat.
Flat meat. No, I like the tubular ones.
Here's your GT class leader, Jonathan Bomarito. Gee, it's been a nicely constructed day for the Speed Source team. And if, speaking of the Mazda thread, if the Salins guys can actually get fuel to that car, they can get going again.
Yeah,
so not quite the end of the day.
They can get a container and walk on down there and fuel him up and then have him do his regular pit stop once they get that all organized. It's not going to be his fuel rig, and most of these guys don't carry a can like a can you'd put in a NASCAR car in the pit lane, so they'll have to go fetch one, then have to get fuel in it and then bring it up here.
Order in GT is Bomarito Edwards, Billy Johnson is third, Ronnie Bremer in that 75 Camaro for Stevenson is fourth, and then Anthony Lazzaro. You heard Jeff Siegel just talking about Anthony. That's Lazzaro in that 69 FXDD Ferrari. Then Lee Keane is sixth for Brumos. Mike Headland is seventh in the 03 Extreme Speed Patron Ferrari. Then Wayne Nonamaker in the 42. Eric Foss in the 73 Autosport machine, Horton Autosport machine, and then 66 Brian Sellers is in the top 10, the best of the TRG cars. So there's still so much to play for. Here's our man in second in GT, and up front it's a very healthy lead to John Fogarty at the moment. Hey, there's a good story. The 43 made it back to the pit. Joe Salin handing over to one of the Nonamaker boys. They got rescued by their team with some fuel. Hey, speaking of fuel, next year in the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series, there is a new class. There's going to be a third class entered. It's called GX, and it embraces alternative power, alternative energy, and Mazda has been the first manufacturer to step up to the plate with their Sky Active D clean diesel technology.
Yeah, it's a really cool unit. We saw the launch and the unveiling of the motor at Detroit at the Rolex weekend there, and I know that John Doonan and all of the people at Mazda are very excited about the potential of this engine and this very exciting new class.
Speaking of John Doonan, let's hear from the man himself.
Down here at the Speed Source camp at John Doonan.
Road cars that are at the top of their class in performance and handling, but are also at the ultimate of fuel efficiency and energy efficiency. So in the end, Sky Active is lightweight bodies, more rigid chassis, more efficient and lightweight transmissions, more efficient and lightweight engines, both on the gas and the diesel side, which diesel we're bringing to Grand Am. Right behind me are the two vehicles that showcase Sky Active in the marketplace for us right now. That is the Mazda 3 and the all-new CX-5. The all-new CX-5 is up to 35 mpg, the most fuel-efficient SUV in America, including hybrid. So it's really special for us to be able to hang our hat on this way of building road cars that still have that fun-to-drive feeling, but are also friendly and energy efficient in the environment.
So that's good news, isn't it? Exciting times and taking a new direction. And I know that the entire team at Mazda and the boys at Speed Source, who are integrally involved, very excited about 2013.
Good news is the 40 is back on track.
Took it back behind the wall and did an exhaust repair, lengthy repair. It's a smart thing to do, get it off pit lane and back where more guys can work on it.
Brian, tell us more about next year with Mazda.
Oh, we're used to talking to Sylvain Tremblay at Speed Source and John Doonan, but Jim O'Sullivan, who's the president, CEO of Mazda North America, this Sky Active technology that you guys have recently announced, especially bringing diesel power to Grand Am, how important is that to Mazda?
Hey, Brian, no, we're really excited. I mean, we're having a great day here at the track, and as you know, just a couple of weeks ago, we talked about with diesel going to Le Mans. We talked about coming back next year with diesel, so we're really excited about the future of motorsports for Mazda.
And you guys, I think, are one of those companies that really utilizes motorsports to tell your story of quality and performance.
Well, we certainly do. As you know, we're the most raced brand on any given weekend, so, you know, we're here. I love being here. It's a great place to be in Western New York and a great race, and the cars are really running good and really proud of the teams.
It's good to see them here. I don't think I see another president of another car company here this weekend other than Jim O'Sullivan with Mazda, Lee.
That's good. Good to have them involved so deeply in the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. What is happening where? This man, Antonio Garcia, in the blue Corvette at the back of the picture there, is trying to make his way forward. He's the last car on the lead lap. He's in 6th position at the moment. We go on board with the Spaniard now. as he whips by Eliseo Salazar in the TRG machine, and he's fighting for a top 5 with David Donahue.
Yeah, good recovery job by the Spirit of Daytona boys to make that repair. Remember, Westy had that long in lap with the damage to the left rear corner, and must be the color of that blue. It doesn't seem like those GT cars are seeing it this year, Dorsey.
You know, and he said that last time. Westy's pretty smart. He's pretty quick on the wit, and he said he didn't have enough flash on the car. I think he means that nobody can see it because everybody keeps running into it. You see David Donahue would work in traffic there, going up the hill, number 5 car. That's a risky kind of place to make a move. Remember, the marbles really come out here on the racetrack over a 6-hour period of time.
Well, what Calvin was talking about is that car wasn't bright enough. Well, Cal was tongue-in-cheek, and so too was Richard Westbrook and Antonio Garcia about their problems of late. Even though they have won, it's been a terrific year for Spirit of Daytona. On the flip side, there's been some dramas. Let's show you. We take you all the way back to Belle Isle, Detroit, on board with Richard Westbrook, fast approaching the Dempsey Racing Mazda. He was in the lead of the race.
Just dived for the inside of the apex. He felt that the normal line for GT car was out wide. Joe Foster behind the wheel of the Dempsey machine thought otherwise. Here we see Garcia at Road America, Dorsey.
And in a very high-speed entry to the kink, gets clipped by the 41, Charles Esplanade in that car.
So, Spirit of Daytona and Dempsey don't play very well together, is what you can surmise from that.
Here's today. Going down into the inner loop, Westbrook behind the wheel.
This time it was Ferrari's turn to give him a punt.
Rui Agua hitting the back, and I have to say that Rui has not had a good day because he hit Lucas Luer in exactly the same corner, in exactly the same place after that happened, and received a stop-go penalty.
Can I say lots of aggravation?
No. You know, no.
It's late. We're 4 hours in, Dorsey.
No joke on that flash thing, though. You know, being a dark blue car like that, he might be onto something there.
Okay.
We'll see it.
Dorse, what's the story here? The story is Memo Rojas is 1 lap down. They're in 8th place. But we have learned over the years, ever since this team, Chip Ganassi's organisation, with support from Felix Sabates and Telmex, don't ever discount this car. Even though they're a lap down, with 1 hour and 50 to go, they will still be a player.
They will, but they'll only be a player for the win with some help with yellows. You cannot make up a lap on pace. There's too many quick cars in this race. But if there's yellow, watch Timmy King and the boys perform some magic, and they should be okay, but they definitely need that 1 yellow at least.
We've had 3 yellows so far in the race, but of course we haven't had one in a great long distance in time-wise.
We'll keep an eye on that. We'll continue to monitor it. There is the 8 of Sebastian Bourdais behind. So where Rojas is focused on is trying to hunt down our leader, John Fogarty, but there's a very big margin. There's 15 seconds between that car right there and the race leader, Fogarty. So that shows you just how much ground Rojas has to make up, even just to try and get back up on the lead lap. It's going to be hard work for Ganassi, Brian, but they're used to it, and we've seen them perform under extreme duress.
Well, and we have, Lee, but the radio traffic recently between Memo Rojas and Timmy Keene is Memo called in a little while ago and said, how are my tire pressures? Because the crew can look at that via telemetry, and Tim said they're fine, and Memo said, well, there's something up. Car doesn't feel right to him right now. Now, the temperature, the wind, the weather has changed down here, so perhaps that car just not able to keep up with the track changes with the sway bars inside the cockpit. Team may have to adjust tire pressures when they go back out and make sure that they've got a good enough car to try to mount a charge to get back to that lead lap.
Guys, there's a 31 car. Unfortunately, that's behind the wall.
Well, that 31 Wayland Motorsports team had been struggling with the fuel pressure problems all day. Boris, now back in the paddock, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, we had this problem in mid-Ohio, and unfortunately, the fuel system isn't picking up all the fuel in the tank. So at about the end of my 2-hour mark in my first stint, it started happening, and now we're just using it as a test to get ready for the Indy this week, and hopefully they'll fix it. But there's something in the cell that just isn't working for us today, and it was too bad because we had a really good run in the beginning with the wheeling car. And I need to say hi to my wife, Boris, and Deanne at home. Happy 4th of July. And all my people at BMW and Murrieta, good job yesterday.
Definitely not the day this team won it, guys.
Must mean he sold a few cars.
Yeah, I was going to say, you think he sold a couple BMWs yesterday, the way that went.
There's Teddy Marsh, the grey-haired gentleman there with the white shirt on. That's the man behind Marsh in the Marsh Racing. He'll be frustrated, but that car's got so much potential, as Boris said, and they'll be back when we go to the Brickyard at the end of the month. The wineries, the lakes, the beautiful rolling hills of upstate New York. It is great to be back, and we hope you can be with us on speed right throughout the evening. Lots coming up. World Superbikes following us here, followed by Speed Center. Rick Allen's in the hosting role tonight. NASCAR Victory Lane with Johnny Roberts and the boys, and then at night, as always, Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. He'll have his views on the world of motorsport this weekend. Wonder what he thinks about Kentucky last night. The Glen here right now. Plenty going on in the world of four wheels and two. Race leader John Fogarty, handy margin too, 14 seconds out in front of Sebastian Bourdais, with Darren Law for Action Express running in third. And I guess, Dorse, as you well know in racing, when you endure enough adversity, eventually, the law of averages, they have to come back around your way, and it's come back for the Gainsco boys today.
I hope so anyway. You know, you're almost afraid to talk to them with the bad luck they've had this year. And we've been kidding with them, you know, to get the monkey off their back and so forth the last couple races. The performance has been there all year long, just nothing but bad luck.
Yeah, they were very disappointed with their qualifying run. Started in 7th spot. Fogarty and Gurney had been at the top of the timesheets a couple of times this weekend, and suddenly in the course of the qualifying session, John said the braking didn't feel quite the same. They had changed out the brake package in that morning before the qualifier, so they were looking at that last night, but come out of the box strong here today. Very quick car, and have managed to manage the power steering issues. Now we're looking at Sebastian Bourdais. He's second place on the road right now, and he just went around Memo Rojas. It wasn't for position, but now it means that Memo Rojas has a couple of cars one lap ahead of him.
Well, here's the deal. Race leader John Fogarty last lap 1 minute 44.5. Bourdais 1 minute 45.5. So a full second between those guys, while Bourdais was trying to get by Rojas. Rojas a 1:46.8. So he was more than 2 seconds slower than race leader John Fogarty, and that fits in with Brian's report of when Rojas radioed in to team manager Tim Keen and said, "My tyre pressure's all right."
Yeah, he's obviously not feeling the balance in the car right now. Here we see the 9 car currently running in third, going around some GT traffic. And the key is when the car's not right, Dorsey, you just got to ride it out. You can't force the issue. You can't create lap time that the car doesn't want to give you if there is something amiss.
If it's not something catastrophic that's going to break immediately, you just learn to deal with it until you need fuel.
So it's a Corvette, a Ford Riley, and another Corvette. Here he is, Darren Law in the 9, the man from Phoenix, Arizona, doing a good job. He handles this heat without an issue. Hey, Brian, let's talk about the car 1 position ahead of him. What do you got on Bourdais?
Well, Bourdais, you just saw him get by the 0-1, and just shortly before that, the team going to the official saying, hey, we're having a hard time getting past the 0-1. He's a lap down. He's holding us up and even blocking at times. So they weren't particularly pleased with that, and there was a big sigh and a lot of applause on the box when Bourdais finally got past Rojas, and that's going to, as you said, move Bourdais up a little bit and make it even that much harder for the 0-1 to get back in. And meanwhile, the 70 is on pit road.
Class leading car, number 70, Jonathan Bomarito. Just a 2-driver rotation in that car. There's the black helmet, the familiar black helmet of team principal Sylvain Tremblay. And these guys know how to do pit stops like clockwork, Brian.
They do. One of the better teams in the GT field with pit stops. You see them going to work right now, and they elected to just stay with a 2-driver lineup. Obviously, they've run 3 drivers at Daytona in the Rolex 24, but consistency, we've talked about it. It's important that you're comfortable, that you've got consistency. That's exactly what this team has. The fuel's going in, holding until that full load of snow. The scream of that Mazda engine as he leaves.
And now we're getting down towards the business end. That stop out of the way. Cal, maybe just 2 more stops for the Speed Source number 70.
Yeah, it looks like they're getting around 43 to 45 minutes on a run. We've got an hour 40 to go, so we'll need at least a splash unless we got some yellow. If we've got some caution here, they might be able to squeak it out on just 1 more stop. And you talked about Sebastian Bourdais running in 2nd spot and Rojas now down in 8th. That's a 9-point swing in the points. And the Star Wars team came into this race only 5 points behind. We could have a change at the championship lead tonight.
Would you say that caution here again, please?
Listen. What we've heard you do is eat your sandwich when you're talking today.
It's been a long old day. Mr. Caution. Back on board, there's no laughing matter here with Rojas. He's got a handful with this car, and he needs to get by the AF Waltrip Ferrari as well.
And the turn signal on, I don't know if it means I'm going in the pitch or pass me on that side or pass me on the other side.
Remember, they employed that at Le Mans this year, and I guess they decided to make it to Grand Am.
That's the problem with you behind it. Does that mean pass on that side?
No, it means
pass on that side.
It means the side of the track that you're going to. So Rob Kaufman put his right-hand indicator on, meaning he was staying to the right-hand side of the track.
He might have put his right-hand indicator and the brakes on at the same time, which would have been a bad situation.
The problem is, I mean, if we're talking about this at Le Mans, if it stays on like it is right now and the driver's not aware of that and he's suddenly just doing his own thing, a faster car is going to interpret that's where you're going to go, and you have no intention of doing that. That is the problem with using this system, where the driver can basically forget to deactivate the turn signal.
The 42 Salem's Mazda has just gone straight through the inner loop. As long as you don't improve your positions, guy, and you re-enter safely, there's no penalty for doing that. But if you were to pass some guys by doing that, then you have a penalty going.
This car's been really quick today. It's run laps in the high 151s, which is as fast as pretty much as anyone within a tenth or two. Now we're on board with Wayne coming down into the inner loop. Late braking here, traffic. Oh yeah, just came up on the 7 car but dived inside. The problem is the DPs can, you know, retard their speed a little bit quicker than you, and you're suddenly, oh, I can't stop at your rate, and suddenly you got to take the escape route.
That's where the prototype driver's got to do a little bit of heads up. If you're going to pass a GT car late in the brake zone, pull in front of them and slam your brakes on, you're going to get run into, because the GT car cannot stop at the same rate as a prototype.
You're pressing that brake pedal for all it's worth, and it isn't slowing down.
It's not going to
the speed. It doesn't have the downforce to create the stopping ability.
This is not a pass 4 position. The 03 ESM Patron Ferrari is not on the same lap as the famous 59, Lee Keen in the Brumos Porsche. I want to come to the defense of the Porsche teams here. It's very uncharacteristic not to see a Porsche up towards the front here at Watkins Glen, particularly in the 6 hour. There's not a Porsche in the top 5 positions here. This is the highest placed car. So whatever Grand Am needs to do to get Porsche back competitive and right up the front of this field, you'd think it would be time to do it, because it is unfamiliar, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you know, we talked about at the beginning of the show to Spencer Pumpelly about the Porsche's reliability being there for 6 hours, but these cars, all of these cars now are very strong. They're all able to run at a very hard pace, Dorsey, and finish.
Yeah, they're very good cars. Unfortunately, the package they have right now isn't being able to keep up, and one of the issues this weekend, unfortunately, is the oppressive heat here and tire degradation at the back where the engine is on that Porsche.
Grab a rest when you can. It's been hot, it's been a long weekend, and it is far from over. Just over an hour and a half to go, and it's looking good for Bob Stallings, boys. We'll see if it stays that way. Remember, we were telling you about embracing the wonderful history here at Watkins Glen that includes Formula One, the early days of Formula One. Look at those legends: Jackie Stewart, Graham Hill, Emerson Fittipaldi. Wonder if Taddy Fittipaldi and Max Pappas are watching. I hope so. Hi, guys. And those magical days and cars and memories. This was only the 2nd year of the longer circuit that included the boot, which we now race on. Only the 2nd year. Francois Sever won the year before, and his Tyrrell Ford teammate, now Sir Jackie Stewart, won in 1972. And sadly, the following year, Francois Sever was killed and Sir Jackie retired that very day. 1972 Formula One. And are we running at a much slower pace? Indeed we are. The Horton Autosport Porsche with Eric Foss behind the wheel. Spun, no collision, no contact with anybody. It was self-induced, and that's brought out our 4th full course caution. Here's how it happened, Dors.
Just kind of got into that corner too deep off the long straightaway and couldn't get the car slowed enough, and around it went. Unfortunately, just got in that kitty litter, but you don't get out once you get in.
So, this, Cal, doesn't this play into Ganassi's hands?
Well, it can. I'm trying to determine all the top 5 in this race, all the way back to Antonio Garcia. For sure, they'll be coming in the pits. The key is Osvaldo Negri. I'm not sure if he's on the very end of the lead lap or not. If he is, he only has 8 laps of fuel that he's used up, so they may decide to keep him out. But the key is if he's on the end of this lead lap or not. If he's not, and if he's a lap down, then he and the 01 should get waved through. Get that wave around.
And it's game on again. So there's radio transmission saying from Ganassi, they will do whatever, the opposite of whatever the 8 of Starworks will do. It's all going to play out in front of us, so stay with us as the 42 pits at Salins Camp. Lots of permutations as well in the GT field. Stevenson have been in it all day. Speed Source has been in it all day. Turner has been in it all day. The second Speed Source car, and also the FXDD Ferrari has fought back hard.
Now there's the key. Yeah, Negri is behind Fogarty, so he is 1 lap down, so they'll stay out, as will the 01, and they should get the wave by, I believe, the top 5 in this race. So Fogarty, Bourdais, Lord, Donahue, and Garcia, I would anticipate pitting, but if one of them stays out, what they're going to do is prevent the 01 and the 60 getting back on the lead lap.
So we'll see.
As long as Fogarty comes, Negri's good to get the wave by. The key will then be the next 4 cars. If either one of those stay out, they will create a problem for the 01 getting a wave by.
Fogarty's in.
It works for them. So the 60 and the 01 will get the wave by. Here's our race leader in. It's been a good, gritty performance from Bob Stallings' Gainsco men. Remember that problem with the steering earlier? They worked their way through it. And now they're a key player in this race. There's Alex Gurney ready to take over from John Fogarty. Jamie?
Yes, Alex Gurney getting in. That's their driver assist. Terry Wilbert, he's also the team manager, helping Alex get strapped into the car. Fuel, he's going to get 4 new tires. It's a very standard pit stop crew, hard at work. Everything going to plan so far, Brian. So
Starworks going to work on the 8. Bourdais has stayed in. He just put fuel and tires on it. Ryan Dial will run the last stint to the checkered flag. Bourdais in for one more stint, and the 90 out as well.
So we've got just under an hour and 30 to go. These guys have been running about 45 minutes in, so this is ideal. As we saw some caution, they should just split the rest of the way and do one more stop.
So positions as is. Nothing major there, just good solid pit work. Richard Westbrook behind the wheel now, taking over from Antonio Garcia. Ready to go. He had a bit of an abbreviated run before. He's ready to get his teeth into this one with an hour and a half left. Well, DPs have had their turn, and as per Grand Am rules, next time by, it's GT's chance to pit. And this just happened a few moments ago while we're in the break. The Stevenson boys, the 57 has been very much in the mix. So too the 75, 59, Brumos, 94, Turner. They're all in, all the key GT players.
And these guys are on the similar strategy. They should be able to make it on just one more stop, even if we're green flag all of the way. So this is going to be a real shootout. John Edwards did a brilliant job for Stevenson. Now turns it over to Robin Liddell. There you see Mike Johnson just closing the door on their pit stop. A little bit of a delay there, just disconnecting the fuel hose, but no problems. Good stop.
These pit crew have come such a long way, guys, from where we started not that many years ago. Those pit stops were so painstakingly slow and mistakes made. Not anymore.
So that was a few moments ago. These pictures are live. The 01 is in. Brian Till, tell us more.
Timmy Keene just telling the crew on the radio, this has got to be a good one, telling Memo Rojas to hit his marks. Pruitt is strapped in, just waiting for service. He'll be back out, Jamie.
The 60 also came to pit road. They took left side tires only. Very quick stop, tires and fuel.
Wow. The key was for the 01 car, Brian heard it on the radio communication, they had to wait for the wave by, then get Rojas to charge back around, but they were less than 1 gallon in the tank because they'd stretched it so far. So it was like, hurry up back to the pit lane, but don't burn fuel.
How do you do
so
that?
That was a little bit of a...
And left side tires only on the Shank car. We'll have to see how that works out. I've had that not work here before, because it really, the car's not balanced on its turning left to right.
They're limited to the amount of sets they can use. There's 11 sets for all of the teams. You get an extra set if you're a Truman Aiken team, which certainly John Pugh is with the 60 car. So unless they're really out of their allotment of tires, I don't quite understand that strategy by just putting 2 on. You really weren't going to lose anything. You could potentially lose track position to the 01, but you're still going to come back around in that 6th spot or 7th at the worst. So have to wait and see why the strategy call was there for the 60 and just 2 tires.
So this is an extended caution period. The reason why it began with Eric Foss's Horton Autosport Porsche, and that is the 67 Adobe Road Porsche for TRG. The time it came to a stop, Wolf Hensler was driving the car. So that's why we've had this prolonged caution period.
And this has actually helped out the 01 car because we could have potentially been going green a lap earlier. This has allowed Scott to chase back around, but here he's got some GT traffic. There's still service vehicles out on the racetracks. They've got to be careful, but he'll be in good shape. He should be with the pack and ready to go here.
As far as that GT cycle, Tremblay, Liddell, Aublin, so Speed Source, Stevenson and Turner, all very much at the front. Gurney, Bourdais, Barbosa are your top 3 in Daytona prototypes.
Not quite sure why Pruitt was allowed to pass that GT car there at that point.
Just saw the images of Wolf Hensler's 67 Porsche on the flatbed leaving the track. We don't know why that car stopped, incidentally. And for TRG's success at the Glen, it has been prolific. It's been quite amazing. They perform at this track. They've had enormous success. But today is not going to be one of those days. Jamie Howe standing by with the team principal.
Yes, Kevin Buckler's still on the radio. They have 3 cars running here this weekend, so Kevin is wearing many hats right now as he's working with the team and with the Grand Am officials, trying to figure out what they're going to do to get the car back. He knows they're going green this time by. He's also calling green flags for all the guys. But Kevin, what's going on with Wolf Hensler right now?
Yeah, there was something broke on the car. He's under yellow. We were actually milking the fuel. He was in reserve going super nice, long, easy throws on the pedal. And then he said something broke or snapped, which is, I mean, it's perfect. You know, went full course yellow. We were still in the lead lap. Got Al and Ben back in the car, trying to get Al back in, actually. But and Wolf was doing great, as were the other guys. But really unfortunate. I don't know what it is. They said there was some metal out on the track. They think it's from our car. That's even worse. Ben's in. We're on the lead lap, about to restart. You know, the biggest problem, of course, is this is one of the boringest races for me I've ever been at, and for the crew too. We're so uncompetitive for the Porsches. I mean, it's sick. I mean, it's. I know they're working on it, but I mean, it's just really to see you know, 1 or 2 seconds off and having the gentleman drivers and the other marks, you know, driving around us. It hurts. So.
TRG still fighting today, guys.
So still got the 66 in there fighting for the TRG squad, and that car is inside the top 10.
I think Kevin brings up there is some consternation in the paddock right now. We have to report this, that some of the GT teams really feel that Ferrari is a little bit too quick. Emil Asentado has been doing a brilliant job this year, but they are saying that a Pro-Am driver should not be basically in the same ballpark as our pro guys and even quicker. So that's what Kevin and some of the drivers are frustrated about. But you know, Grand Am has to look at the big picture. They have to wait for the information. They have to do some changes. They did a slight weight change this week. They're saying that's not enough. Emil still qualifies in 3rd spot. But everyone has a vested interest in this sport, Dorsey. Guys like Kevin Buckler, he has a business to run. He wants to ensure that his Porsches are competitive so he continues to get customers.
And the manufacturers, they support this series. They put a lot of money in this series. And if they're in a situation where they're dumping money in and with no way of getting results, it's not going to work. Now, let's add a little fire to this thing. The racetrack's starting to break up, guys. 2 places on the racetrack. The left-hander right before pit lane, and then the toe of the boot. Let's watch for that.
Cross your fingers, it lasts an hour and 19 minutes. We're ready to go racing. The Mazda CX-5 pace car off the track and into pit lane. And Alex Gurney has a nice, clear, clean track ahead. But he's got a 4-time Champ Car World Series champion right behind him. Bourdais is looking for his first Daytona prototype win.
Oh, damage!
Big collision.
Middle of the GT pack, contact.
It's not over with yet. Look at the car cutting across.
Oh, that was the 66
car.
TRG car with Ben Keating behind the
31.
wheel.
The Whelen car is involved.
We're going to be back to yellow for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That was nasty. That was a big hit.
That, well, you could tell it had a, you know, after the first incident that there was no stop in that car.
He's okay,
thumbs up, that's
up.
good.
And the 42 involved as well. So this is Dane Cameron. This car had a really good shot at a top 5.
Into the back of the Salins car.
Saying that he got into the back of the Salins car. And I hate to say this, guys, but the rules dictating that you have to stay in line. If there's any concertina effect in the pack, this will happen because guys are trying to stay behind one another.
Where do we see this? Where do we see this? Oh, right there.
Well, that's a big hit.
Ben tried to avoid the back of the 42 of Dane Cameron, and by taking that evasive action, clipped the back of it, and that sent him into the pit wall.
Stacks everyone up there.
Yeah.
Is there damage to the front of that Dempsey Mazda? Look in the center of your screen. Boom, there's the collision. There's the slap with the wall.
Meanwhile, look at Westbrook. He makes a move there on David Donahue for position. That puts him in 4th. That should stick. That would be before we went yellow.
Indeed.
It's a nasty ride for Ben Keating because either the throttle's stuck, guys. I think the throttle was stuck. You'll see right here. If you just concentrate on that Porsche alone, it never stops. Watch, hits the wall. Now he's grinding down the wall with the throttle stuck on. Now he's headed across the racetrack head on into this wall.
Yeah, he just came up on the 42 car with too much speed, so I'm not sure if he was looking down, but what a day for Kevin Buckler. He's not used to this.
No, not at all. One of the most successful Porsche teams and Porsche team owners in American sports car history. It's been a tough, tough day.
Good to see him.
Tough
that was
week.
a rough ride right there to take.
So, Dorse, you were mentioning just a moment ago before we went back to green there about the condition of the track. I wonder what one of the drivers who's just stepped from one of the cars has to say, Brian.
I was just down here talking to Darren Law, and we were talking about some of the challenges that these drivers face, and it's not just the cars, Darren. Seems like the racetrack is a real challenge this afternoon.
It is. You know, the majority of it's good, but coming out of the infield up onto NASCAR, I don't know if it's a sealer or what it is, but it is literally shredding apart, man. There's rubber and chunks everywhere, and it's super slippery. You have to be super careful getting through there.
Other parts of the racetrack we've heard maybe the laces of the boot, the toe of the boot, a little bit dicey as well.
I'd say they're more dicey because of debris and a lot of the stuff offline. As long as you stay online, you're okay, but you're pretty much, you can't go, there's nowhere to go through that, through the left-hander coming out of the infield.
4.5 hours of Rolex competition on this racetrack is taking its toll on everybody and everything, Lee.
Remember, we dodged a bullet, Lee, at Detroit. You know, we had a race there on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday,
the
IndyCar boys were tearing up that racetrack. So something's amiss with these tracks this year, Dorsey.
Well, when you come out of that infield where he's talking about is where you rejoin the NASCAR short course, and there's a tunnel underneath there, so there's a hump anyway, and the racetrack is real slippery. But now you add to that, and you can almost see it on the racetrack there, the track surface coming up, and you have nowhere to go if you get loose in that area.
I think it's around that early apex area to the left of the shot we're looking at, I would think, is what it looks a bit more torn up. Hard to tell from this distance with the camera angle. Right through there.
Looking along right through here, guys, right along through there, and you see that discoloration. I think that's breakup. We'll try to get a tighter picture of that in there.
How's that sandwich?
No, it's
sounds
actually,
good.
It's potato chip. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Take a look at all this. This is the racetrack starting to bust up.
Wow.
And that's a lot of rubber also that's interjected into that. But imagine trying to drive through that at about 100 miles an hour in that corner.
That is crazy.
You can see low areas over here. You know, right in here there's some gouges out of the racetrack. I think all this is just spent rubber, but you're going across it at an angle. In any event, what it does is it takes the tire off the road, bounces up and up in the air.
Dorsey, you were just talking about the rubber on the outside, and that's the other thing Darren was saying when we just finished. He said, hey, and look at the tires over there. They've got pickup all over them. He said, right now, if you've got to go offline, if you're getting a wave by or when they split the field for the restart and all that other kind of stuff, if you have to go offline at all, you're going to be in big trouble with pickup.
Tell you, watch for some strategy here. If this yellow takes a while to clean up and if they have to evaluate the track, the guys who have poor track position, like the 01, which is now on the back end of this lead lap, may be able to come in for a little top up and increase their fuel window. Sometimes when you have some adversity, it gives you the leg up and more flexibility with your strategy. We'll have to wait and see what they do.
Because it gets you out of step with everybody else, right?
Exactly.
As the 42 team go to work, the Salins Mazda organization, they were in the middle of this, and that was the car that got hit by the 66 of Ben Keating from TRG. Watch the contact here. It was not nice, and Ben was doing his best to miss that car. We'll be back. We're back live at the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen, and we have one more lap to run under caution. And with that, we're going to make the most of it and take advantage about speaking with one of our speed colleagues on the line and a sports car racing legend who has a very soft spot in his heart for this racetrack. A man who contested the very first Rolex 24 at Daytona. He also contested the very first 6 Hours of the Glen. David Hobbo Hobbs is on the line. Monsieur Hobbs, welcome.
How are you, boys, in Watkins Glen, sunny Watkins Glen? Yes, I remember that race so well.
Well,
Another one that I didn't win.
Tell us about it, mate. Obviously, we always look at the record books and it says 1968, Jackie Ickx, Lucien Bianchi in the Ford GT40, but you were also driving a Group 4 GT40 and you finished second. What happened?
Well, what happened was we were doing very, very well, and I think Lucien Bianchi, who was standing in for Brian Redman, who I think had hurt his shoulder, broken his arm and shoulder at Spa in the Formula 1 car. Lucien Bianchi stood in for him, and I believe Bianchi spun. And anyway, before you can say no, we were a lap ahead. Now, of course, this is on the old circuit, the one that NASCAR used today, not the full circuit. This is before the full circuit. So we were a lap ahead. Unfortunately, the David York, who was the team manager for Gulf Wire, was very keen on Jackie Ickx. And, of course, it was a manufacturer's championship, not a driver's championship, so it didn't really matter from their point of view who won. But he demanded that I slow down and let Jackie Ickx win. So when I went past my pit, I had an easy sign shown every time. And then when I got to turn 1, which of course was the first part of the S's in those days, there was Paul Hawkins, my co-driver, hanging over the fence, waving me on, along with Richard Atwood, who was also in the race in a Ferrari. So, and I was very torn whether to keep going. But, you know, in those days, you didn't disobey team orders any more than you do today. And it was my first year in a really, really top team. And I certainly didn't want to go and jeopardize my position in the team. So I reluctantly slowed down, and Jackie Ickx won. But there was a case of a bit of luck too thrown into the mix, because Jackie's engine was very, very, very much on the edge the whole time. It had virtually no oil pressure, and somehow it kept going for the whole 6 hours.
Hey, David, I assume you gave them the easy sign back when you saw that, did you?
Yeah. I said, what, do you mean twice?
Hey, before we say farewell, because we're coming back to green, congratulations to your grandson, Andrew, who won his race in the Skip Barber Summer Series at Road America today. That must be a great feeling, mate.
It was fantastic. He got out in the front, and even at Road America, where those cars are so evenly matched, where drafting is vital, he managed to put a small gap, and then he just drove off and hit and won by 16 seconds in the end. So that was a great day for Andrew here.
Well, we've got to go back to work, mate. You go back to Siebkens.
Have one for us.
Yeah, tell him hi, would you?
All right,
Well,
David
indeed,
Hobbs
thanks.
on the line. Thanks, Hobbo.
Good race. Bye.
We're looking forward to it. We're ready. That was an extended caution. We've got just over 1 hour to run here at the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen, and the Red Dragon is at the front. Gurney, Bourdais, Barbosa. This is going to be something special. Let's go racing. Keep it clean. Here we go.
Some of the best. Oh, look at that. Barbosa moving over, trying to block Westy down into turn 1, and he makes it.
Keep an eye on that pale blue and white car.
I think
Who
that's
is in that?
Oh, he's going back right in the middle of the GT, guys.
Oh, that's Paul Tracy got turned there.
Does a
Quick
back
spin.
turn.
Nice job.
He'll get going again. That got scary.
Who tagged Paul? Did he do it by himself? Was he helped?
He'll be looking for somebody.
Look out. The chrome horn might come out.
Yeah, you don't want to make people seem mad.
No, that's a bad deal right there.
So, crazy start. Good gap for Gurney, though. That's nice over Bourdais, and it's about the same distance back to Barbosa, who shut the door pretty aggressively on Richard Westbrook. Donahue, Negri, and Pruitt we ride with.
Don't count him out. Scott Pruitt now behind the wheel of the 01. They got him back on the tail end of the lead lap. Got fresh tyres, got a fast race car, but he's got a lot of cars to pass to get the win here today.
Right behind Richard Westbrook is David Donahue, and then Oz Negri. They're all got something to race for right here, right now.
And it looks like they're tippy-toeing to me a little bit. And what I mean by that, Calvin, is, you know, I think they're taking it pretty easy. I think this racetrack has really got greased up now. The sun at its full heat of the day. And with all these marbles and that rubber out there, I think it's going to be, you have to be really online all the time.
Tell you what, look out for Joao Barbosa. He's been sensational in this race today. We saw them run a great pace, even when they were saving fuel. A little bit sideways there, coming off that corner that Darren Law, his teammate, said was cutting up really badly.
End of the first flying lap. What a day it's been from Seabass, Sebastian Bourdais. Great to have him in the Grand Am Rolex Series, and he is driven like the star he is.
What a statement for the team. They're putting him in to potentially close, or maybe Ryan Dial will go in for that final stint. We'll have to wait and see.
Hey, let's show you the replay of the start. This is what happened for Richard Westbrook trying to make a move on Joao Barbosa.
Got to wait for the stripe. You can't initiate a pass. He's in line, and Barbosa sees him coming.
Sorry about that, just a little technical glitch. Keep your eye on the orange Dallara Daytona prototype driven by Paul Tracy. This will tell us what happened down into turn 1. There goes Westbrook on Barbosa, but keep an eye on Tracy. Watch that orange car.
I think as Popov might get into him right there. Yeah, the 2-car turns him around. Alex Popov down the inside.
Ooh, that Salins car. Oh, that really good job for the GT guys to be heads up on that. It'll look worse from this angle.
Message to Alex Popov, you're about to meet Paul Tracy personally.
You think?
Going high.
Watch this, guys. Watch this evasive driving by the GTs.
Close.
You're not kidding.
This is what it looked like on board the 40. Visit Florida.com, Dempsey Racing Mazda. Look up
This is
ahead.
going to be really close watch because Paul's not going to roll across the racetrack. Nice thing is with that little bit of road there on the other side of the curb to work with, you can take evasive action here now.
The storied day that it has been for the Stevenson Camaro. They blew a couple of tires yesterday. There were a few things not going in the direction. Team manager Mike Johnson said, you could do an entire television segment on your show about our woes at this track. Watkins Glen seems to hate us and hate our car.
Got Bill Oberlin to worry about now. Forget about the racetrack. You look in the rearview mirror, the Turner Motorsports BMW is not far from Robin's tailgate.
Liddell is second in the Drivers' Championship right now, 21 points behind the FXDD duo of Siegel and Asentado. But this is a guy who's a man on the move. Stop and go for the 90.
Is that for a jump start, or is that for a previous incident?
It must be, because I don't get that.
Wow, they're paying a penalty now for something that happened earlier, and we're hearing that the 2 also might have.
I tell you what, if that 90 penalty is for what we saw with him going after Barbosa, I mean, you've got to be able to take a run. He waited for the strike there before he even moved. So unless this is for a separate incident, that is a very harsh call on Richard Westbrook. He'll be very frustrated unless he gets a better explanation.
Boy, you have to give it to the Action Express guys, particularly in the 9 car. This has been a player all day long.
And now hearing that the penalty on the 90 is not for the last restart, but the one before that, when we did see him take one of the Action Express cars down into turn 1. I think he got around David Donahue, as I recall.
That makes you doubly as mad because you don't understand it when it happens, much less when it happens one time ago.
What I think should happen there in that case scenario is reverse the position. You know, if he took advantage on a restart, we went yellow immediately. Just tell him to get back behind him. Not give him a stop and go.
Just redress it. Now, I'm not sure if Sebastian Bourdais has ever even heard of Joao Barbosa, but he's about to. He's got a rear view mirror full of him. Keep your eye on car number 9. Super talented, super fast, pretty aggressive at times when need be. He's ready to do the business here in the Salem 6 hours of the Glen.
I'll tell you what, guys, the way it looks to me, though, if you're going to make a pass attempt, you can only do it in certain areas of the racetrack. Because when you pull off line, if you get into those real dirty corners of the racetrack and you pull off line, you're going to get all that rubber pickup, and then you're going to be in dire straits trying to get around.
All right, Negri's moved up to 4th. He's got around David Donahue. Pruitt is not charging as quickly as I thought. Now, remember, Rojas had a problem during one of his stints where he said the balance had gone away on the car a little bit. He was worried about tire pressure, but maybe there is something amiss with the 01. We'll have to wait and see.
1 minute 45.5 was the last lap time for Scott Pruitt. Put that in comparison to the cars in front. 44.6 for Barbosa, the 3rd place car. So there's a second of discrepancy there.
Penalty for the 2 car. This is for turning PT down in turn 1. Which we all saw.
Stop and go. He'll go back. Another spin. The 17 is around.
Ragginger, Martin Ragginger, the Austrian driver, is behind the wheel of that Formetics Porsche.
It's down in the sock, I think, Dawes.
I'm not sure where that is. It's a kind of a funny camera angle.
This is the short course,
I think
maybe?
we're on the short course right there looking in.
GT class leading car. Robin Liddell just has a narrow margin of about a second over Bill Oberlin. And we're going under yellow again.
Wow.
Okay, with less than an hour remaining.
Okay, now it gets tricky. Who's going to make the call now? Because both the GTs and the DPs have been going about 45 minutes on fuel with just under an hour to go. I think if you've got poor track position like the 01, you got to come and top up. And maybe they can make an adjustment. Really curious to know what is going on with the 01.
Hey, there's...
That's Martin Ragginger looking pretty animated because there's a fire on a Porsche. This is the second one we have seen today.
Yeah, it's steaming under the hood.
Yeah, that's not the engine department, obviously, on
No,
a
that's
Porsche, so
unfortunately-
something's going to miss.
That's the fuel department under
Yeah.
there. That's even worse. And look, he's going to take the fire extinguisher and deal with this himself.
Remember, we saw the 44 go up in smoke because I think in the
Now, you gotta
44
watch this. If
situation, I'm not sure that John Potter used the onboard fire extinguisher quickly enough.
Well, I'm glad that he did that without opening the hood, because of course it's not on fire right there. If he opens the hood, lets the oxygen in, it will be definitely.
And in a bizarre coincidence, the
There
other
we go.
Porsche that was on fire stopped
Right
in
there.
exactly the
Yeah.
same position.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange that he couldn't get assistance. He had to go do it himself.
Thankfully, the fire crews are there right now. So this is our 5th full course caution of the race. We are told it will be a short one, and what that means is simply 2 laps. 2 laps under caution before we go back to racing.
Yeah, typical procedure takes 3 laps to get done. This is a 2-lap, and they do this if it's within 20 minutes of the end of the race or within a few laps of the previous caution. So this is what we're looking at.
If you're bench racing at home, keeping cool inside, who do you like the look of? Is it going to be Bob Stallings' boys' day? Is Ganassi going to do something special from behind, or are we going to have a different winner altogether? We welcome you back to the Glen. This has the potential to be the last stop of the race if we see another caution. Who knows? But everybody, all the front runners, all the main players dove for pit lane with just 54 minutes remaining. They can't go that long, they being Daytona prototypes on a tank of gas. So they'll need another caution or they'll need another stop.
One caution to do it. It's going to be a 3-lap caution. If they get one, that would be enough. It would squeak it by maybe.
And look who's jumped up to 4th place, the 01 Telmex BMW Riley for Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates. We told you all those hours ago when they were down a lap, never discount this car or team. It's teamwork to the max. It's an Indianapolis-based team, and we're heading to Indy for the Super Weekend, the Brickyard 400 Weekend, and also the Grand Am Rolex and Continental Tire Challenge Weekend. Speed has an exclusive deal for you. You've got to be quick because we're running out of time on this broadcast. If you go to speed.com/deals, enter the promo code SPEED6, you'll get some money off the ticket price for that weekend.
Everyone listen up. Lee Diffie's credit card number is 432.
I have 2 children. It's diminishing. There is a pretty sad sight, isn't it, for Claudio Burton's team? That's the Fometics Porsche. It's a quick car. We don't see these guys out a lot. It's only the 2nd time this year. They typically run really well at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Claudio had never raced here before. Martin Raginger came over from Europe to run here. They had some good fun early on in the race, and it's sad to see it end that way.
And Timmy Keene just confirmed what we were talking about, guys. He's just radioed out that they're going to need a caution. They cannot make it the whole way.
Paul Tracy brings the Doran Dallara, the combos machine, to pit road.
Sure, he's asking who's in the 2 car.
Yeah. He wants to make sure.
I just think it's cool to have a driver like Paul Tracy in Grand Am.
And he has such a great attitude. I mean, this car is not competitive at the moment. This is a Gen 2 car. With all respect to that team and the Dallara and everything else, it's not going to run with these new Gen 3 cars. But Paul's out there. He's loving life. He really feels that the Rolex Series is a great way to extend his career. We had a nice sit-down interview with him yesterday, and we're hoping to show some of that interview to you guys during the Indianapolis broadcast.
He was on a chair. You were on a stool. Paul Tracy, look at that. What a career. We mentioned it before, 2003 Champ Car World Series champ, and just one of the most, well, I guess you could say he was a polarizing driver. He was an energizing driver and an entertaining driver, that's for sure. He rejoins the surface, and we have just been told that the lights have gone back on the Mazda CX-5 pace car, so this is going to be prolonged. Let's check in with one of our front-running GT teams with Jamie.
It's Billy Johnson. Billy, we're used to seeing you in the Roush red. Now you're in Turner blue and yellow, just like at New Jersey. But you had a great run. How strong is this car to the checkered?
It's a strong car. Everyone at Turner Motorsports has been working hard on it and gave us a great handling BMW. Paul did a phenomenal first stint, keeping the car one piece, and then I did my stint, and I think Bill's now up to 2nd place. I think we have a little over an hour to go, and we'll see what he could do with it and if he could pass that Camaro for the win.
In Bryant's Hill, Bill Auberlen was one of those GT drivers that came in under that last stop caution for the splash of fuel.
Well, he may have the fuel that he needs, but does he have the tires? Every driver out there, DP and GT alike, is going to have to face this. This is a brand new tire. It's a sticker. It's nice and smooth. This is a tire that's scrubbed. It's clean, but it's been rubbed a little bit, so it's got some grip to it. But look at this. Everybody who stayed out on hot tires, when we talk about pickup, this is what these drivers are facing right now. All of this rubber that's been out there on the racetrack, when it goes back to green, how clean are your tires going to be?
The problem is that pickup is happening very late in the lap, Dorsey, so it's very hard to get that cleaned off by the time you get back to the stripe. But if it's down in turn 1, you might have the whole lap to get it cleaned off. This is happening right towards the very end of that lap.
When it's up on top of the tire like that, you have no traction at all. The car doesn't want to turn. It wants to spin out. It doesn't put power down. And all you can do is just wear away at it. It takes a half a lap sometimes to do that. Now remember, if you get offline, you're going to have that same situation. When you try to attempt to pass, if you do it on those corners that are pretty broken up or are really messy on the outside, you're going to get in trouble.
If you were watching the Road America round last weekend of the Rolex Sports Car Series, that's what happened to Ricky Taylor. He had that on his tires. He had pickup on his tires. That's what he was trying to scrub off when he was weaving the car aggressively at the end of a caution and lost control of the car. It's nothing new. Drivers do it all the time under cautions, towards the end of the cautions. Try to get rid of that pickup, keep those tires in the best shape you can have them.
And to Ricky's defense, what was going on there, they were trying to save fuel under that caution period, so he really couldn't afford to burn the tires off there. And suddenly when he said, okay, go for it, Ricky, get the tires clean, that's when he lost the race car.
Jamie?
Well, one team that did not take tires under that caution was the leading DP car, the 99 Red Dragon. That was a fuel-only stop for them, but the car right behind them on pit road, the number 60 from Shank Racing, they took right side tires only. On the last pit stop, they took left side tires only. And Calvin, you asked the question of why 2 versus 4. At the time that they entered pit lane, they thought it was going to be a short yellow, and that's when Wolf Hensler in the 67 TRG Porsche had his problem that elongated that yellow. So you're right, they could have ended up taking 4 tires, but on this last stop, they took 2 because there was a blister on one of the right-hand side, so they took the time to do it. So now he has 4 tires, still not on the same scent, but they are all pretty fresh.
Yeah, we noticed that, Jamie. All of the other DPs just took fuel, but Oz did take those right side tires, and I think that's why he's been shuffled back a little bit here in the pack.
So we're resetting the field, and look at Richard Westbrook. He's looking at his watch. 48 minutes to go if you want to know the time, Westy. Back in 1962, the public got its first glimpse of the Ford Mustang prototype right here at Watkins Glen. That was originally powered by a Saab engine, incidentally. And from that kind of Mustang to the 2013 Boss Mustang 302, that is being raffled to raise funds for the International Motor Racing Research Center in downtown Watkins Glen. What a facility. They've got so many things to see. And with all of the historic pictures and images we have shown you today, they have been behind that. So to JC Argetsinger, Max Neal, Kevin Huey, and everybody at the International Motor Racing Research Center here in Watkins Glen, thank you very much for your assistance to help our broadcast better. www.racingarchives.org. They've got some fabulous stuff there. That Boss 302 Mustang, incidentally, is being raffled off because they do not get any outside assistance. It is privately run. They look forward to donations to keep that wonderful facility open and running. And of course, the late Cameron Argetsinger was the founder of that International Motor Racing Research Center in Watkins Glen, a man and a family name that is synonymous with this facility. In fact, they have just called one of the grandstands here the Argetsinger Grandstand, and very appropriately so. As we look forward to going green here at Watkins Glen at the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen, we also look forward to the remaining rounds of the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. We've been talking a lot about the Brickyard, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For the first time, this series will visit those hallowed grounds, and it's really exciting. We're back here at the Glen. That's the short race, so we share that weekend with the NASCAR Sprint Cup. We then head up with the Nationwide boys to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which is always an interesting weekend. Out to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in early September, and then the season wraps up with what should be a pretty brutal fight on the bull ring for sports cars, Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. So that's the way the rest of the season looks. This is round 8 of the 13-round championship. Speed is your home for live sports car racing, and we've still got so much more to come.
That's a great slate of races. I mean, they've really done a tremendous job with the schedule over the last couple of years. We added Detroit this year, which is a great addition, and we just visit some awesome racetracks now, Dorsey.
And remember, when we come back here to Watkins Glen, it's not on this long circuit, it's the short circuit, so it in its own right is a bull ring too. It's very quick.
we understand just one more lap to run before
Second
we go
place
racing
car in
again.
GT. They're looking for more fuel, you'd think. They think they can't go the distance without a splash. Going to take it now.
42 minutes to go. We know that many of you have just come in from a busy weekend, so let's bring you up to speed. Not a great start for the day for one of two Audi R8s. That wayward pieces of bodywork, that rear deck lid got collected. This was a nasty sight for John Potter and his 44 Magnus Porsche.
Yeah, just a disaster for the leaders in the GT category in this North American Endurance Championship. Their day is over. A lot of damage to that race car, and that follows up on a fire in the engine department last week at Road America.
We see good racing down into the turn 1 area, and side-by-side contact as the 10 car loses part of its rear bodywork.
It put the SunTrust boys into overdrive to get that fixed when Max Angelelli came into contact with David Donohue. They kept Max the Axe on the lead lap, which was pretty handy work from Wayne Taylor's boys. But in the end, they got bit by suspension problems.
Yeah, problems with the rear wishbone and then the upright, and eventually they retired the number 10. 4 DNFs in a row.
John Pugh put in a terrific drive early on in this race. Tried to just go up the inside of Martin Ragginger and spun him round. It didn't hurt their end effort. They're still in this race.
Very much so. And then we see a great battle here between Oz Negri and Terry Borchella. Neither one of these guys want to give it up. Oz goes for a ride. Terry recovers.
And the car's still in the race.
A lot of pride amongst these Daytona prototype drivers. This was an unfortunate incident for Richard Westbrook. Rui Aguirre in the AF Waltrip Ferrari just drove into the side of him, heading into the inner loop. He was able to keep going, and so too was Westy, but he had a damaged rear left.
Something going on with the exhaust. Tom says the exhaust broke. The lambdas are showing that something with the exhaust is very wrong. Basically, the car is going full lean.
Computer says I'm full lean. They had to take it on the took it back there, put a new exhaust on, and the car's back in the race. And then this.
Ben Keating into the back of Dane Cameron. I can tell you that after going to infield medical, Ben Keating has been cleared. He is okay, but that was nasty contact on the restart.
Just a disastrous day for the TRG boys. Here we look at a restart here. This time, Richard Westbrook was thwarted, but on an earlier restart, he was penalized for jumping the start. Paul Tracy goes around here, gets nudged by Alex Popov, narrowly missed by the rest of the GT field.
Nice flick spin from PT, by the way.
Never shy on the gas pedal.
Here's how they run at the moment as we rub our hands together. We're excited for this last half an hour or so. 39 minutes left. By that, there should be enough in the gas tank of all of our Daytona prototype cars to get to the end without another stop. Can the famous 59 for Brumos Racing set Jacksonville, Florida screaming? Because that would be a special win if they did it back-to-back, consecutive years. What about Guy Cosmo in the 03? Well, he's no longer in second. You just saw him dive for pit road. Jeff Siegel, the points leader, could do it. Robin Liddell is second in points. There's plenty to play for him. And Billy Aublin is trying to help his teammate Paul Dall'Anna, who's fourth in points, with a win here and in their efforts in the North American Endurance Championship. Is that enough for you? There's a lot to play for. There's a lot to play for in the last 38 minutes. And for these guys, being Bob Stalling's Gainsco Auto Insurance team, they just want to win. They want to experience that winning feeling again. And to do it in a legendary event like this would be something special.
Tough position for Sebastian Bourdais. There's a championship on the line. He's trying to get them good points. Does he go for the win right here?
Bourdais did well there. Bourdais did very well to just restrain and pull that up. Look at the inside. Barbosa defends. Pruitt's going to go the outside, side by side. Pruitt and Barbosa. Look at the master. He runs out high and wide.
Not a good spot to be in right now, though, because he's going to head up the S's.
Remember, Barbosa is mad. He's been roughed up a couple of weeks in a row. He said, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm just going to get the hammer down, and everyone else has to get out of my way.
Yeah, you don't want to be to the outside going up through there with somebody's angry. Not going to work.
Pruitt knows the pressure's on because the 5 of Donohue's there. Negri is in there as well. That white and blue Mike Shank forward.
A lot of fired up drivers. Think about Westy. He got that penalty. He's now in 7th spot with a fast Chevy Corvette underneath him.
Feels he should be a lot higher. Time is on his side though. Hang in there, Westy. Our British viewers via Motors TV, you hang in there as well. We're far from done.
Is that corner which looked like it was breaking up here? Yes, there's Hanging Tough today, Dorsey, but there's one coming up at the end of the boot section that we're worried about. Here we see the GT field coming through.
Yeah, that corner right there is done really good. There's 2 places on the racetrack that aren't doing that well, though, and we'll deal with that. The 31 Whelen Vet is off pace off to the left side of the track.
What has happened? We've lost touch with the 59, the Brumos Porsche. Is that it? Way up there.
Yeah, this is about the third, I believe. I think the leader's already gone.
There he is.
There he is.
Still with that wounded left ankle after rolling it on one of the crew members' foot, jumping off the wall at Road America.
Notice Billy Auberlen here. He's gone backwards a little bit. This happened at Road America. He said the car took a lap or 2 to come alive, and then he was dynamite quick, but can't afford to waste too much time here as the Porsche is taken off.
That corner right there you're looking at, that left-hander coming across the tunnel, is one of the tracks that are parts of the track that are breaking up a little bit. Really dicey.
We talked about the irony of the Porsche, everyone complaining maybe they're out of the game performance-wise, and we said this morning, don't count them out in our production meeting. And what do we have right now? Still, we've got 36 minutes to go. We have a Porsche leading in GT.
Look at that paper on the grill doors.
Yeah, I saw that before. You're talking dirt racing, you cannot not mention Porsche. It's always there at the end.
Woo-hoo.
And there's a racetrack full of junk on the outside.
Lee Keen wringing the neck on this Porsche. He realizes it's go time. Hammer down. Shouldn't need any more fuel. Away we go.
Don't think that paper's enough to do much of anything, you know, as long as it just hangs down there low like that. Blocked off a little bit. I don't think it's enough, though.
These guys are rolling the dice. They've been out there considerably longer, 9 more laps longer than anybody else. Actually, I take that back, 11 more laps than any of the other challengers.
Oh, well, I'm mistaken then. I think these guys are going to need fuel. The lead car, the number 59. Remember last year they got a break when the pace car came out, when we had a late race caution. They got split from the rest of the field. Could the same thing happen today? But you're right, Lee. They are 9 laps worse off on fuel. Unless there's a caution, they will definitely need to hit pit lane again. The rest of the GT field should be okay.
Look at Bill Auberlen there working with the BMW. The Turner car's still strong. He's not out of this. Particularly if those guys up front, Calvin, need to pit for a splash.
Yeah, well, I think for sure the 59 is in fuel trouble. Liddell should be good. He's on the same strategy as Auberlen and the majority of the GT field.
Look at this train of cars for all the prize money, all the rewards, and for a Salem 6 Hours of the Glen title.
That's amazing. Top 8 cars right there, all on the same lap. This is 4 position.
You know what? We hear so much discussion in the paddock right now about the different combinations, who has the advantage. Well, let me tell you this, amongst the top 6 cars in the field here today, they're separated by just 0.2 of a second on the fastest lap of the race. I think they've done a pretty good job in performance balancing this field right now.
Riding with Scott Pruitt in 4th place, the championship leader, the only 4-time Grand Am Daytona prototype champion in the history of this series.
Now, one thing about this 8 train that we're looking at right now, 8-car train, is that where Scott Pruitt is right now, you're in dirty air. You're not getting a clean flow of air across the front of that car. You're losing efficiency on the front downforce, and that at this racetrack will pay, you know, to make it really hard.
And maybe that's the difference, Dorsey, because that car had been extremely quick all day long, but the majority of the time it was leading the field, not in the middle of the pack. This is tightening up now. Barbosa is quick. Watch him go in the 9 car.
Bourdais ran a little wide there, and that gave Barbosa some extra motivation. Pruitt's in with a shot, and Donohue's there as well. While we watched DP, let's get an update on GT, because Brian, is our leader from Brumos in trouble, or are they okay?
Well, Lee King leading in the 59, like you said, and you'd think there'd be smiles down here at Brumos, but Andrew, there's a lot of concern on the part of everybody down there. I can see it on your faces. What's up with fuel?
Well, we're not good on fuel. We actually only have probably less than 10 laps left, so we're going to have to stop. So we're really hoping for a yellow. We kind of got caught out with that wave by and all that stuff. So a lot of the guys came in at that time, and we stayed out as the field got settled back down. But yeah, we're short. We need some help here.
Looking for a little good luck to get that 59 and to keep that 59 up front, Lee.
Yeah, you can see the look on Andrew Davis's face. He knows that back-to-back wins is highly unlikely. They're out of step with the guys doing the chasing. Robin Liddell, Bill Auberlen, Ronnie Bremer. Boy, it could be a great day for Stevenson. They may have 2 cars on the podium. They've got to get by Jeff Siegel first in that FXDD Ferrari. But look at the big boys up front. This is great stuff, and Alex Gurney is relishing the opportunity to be out in front. This is a foreign feeling. We have not seen the Red Dragon there many times at all in season 2012.
We haven't. Here we're looking at the end of the train here. This is Richard Westbrook, but Gurney has been up to the the task so many times throughout his career. He and John Fogerty, one of the most successful duos in Daytona prototype history, and because he can handle the pressure. But right now the pressure is on. They have had only one podium finish this year, a second place run. They felt at New Jersey that could have been their race. They got taken out by Scott Pruitt, but right now he's leading this field. They just need a break. They need to catch some luck, catch some momentum, and they can do it here today with a win for sure.
We've seen the Red Dragon here before, but not this late in the race. That's the difference.
Think about from a bigger life picture for Alex Gurney. He's grown up in a famous family with a famous father. He's been surrounded by success. He made his own road. He's his own man. He's a two-time champion himself. Both he and John Fogerty, they're married with kids. They've won a couple of titles. What else is there to achieve? You want those race wins to keep that fire alive.
And he has the fire. He has the passion. I mean, he is a real student of this game. He sent me an email this week talking about the fast laps, talking about the segment times at Road America. He is very concerned about the straightaway speed of that Ford that sits right behind him.
And his speed is not coming easy. Remember, they've had a power steering overheating issue. They've got the power steering turned back, which means they're using more physical effort to make the job done than they normally would have to do. Well, that second place is coming, though.
Oh, yeah. Bourdais is under increasing pressure. So too is Robin Liddell. It's for second, but realistically, it's for first.
This is the reality for the win. The 59 needs an off. They not only need a yellow, they need to be yellow of about 10 laps to get them to the finish, I feel. So I think this is the battle for the win right now as it goes. And we talked about it a little while ago. Billy Aublin's BMW seems to take a little while to come up to speed when he's been sitting there under caution. It happened at Road America, potentially cost him the win there. He dropped back a little bit, then was coming on strong at the finish. Here we see it again. They won 2 races ago. They finished second at Road America, and they're on a charge with 6 consecutive top 5 finishes in this championship run.
What if it just takes that car's tires a little longer to get rid of that excess and to get the temperature the way they want it to be?
They call him the Sneaky Seagull. Here he is. Jeff Siegel. He talked about it. Oh, we don't have the pace today. Maybe top 6, top 5. Well, right now he's running 4th, and one of those cars in front of him may be in fuel trouble. Are we going to see another podium, which would be their 6th of the year for this number 69 car?
Look at this, boys.
Back up front. Look at Barbosa. You're going to see a move here shortly. Car 9 will not sit in 3rd for too much longer.
Well, Sebastian's under heavy pressure. You know, he's going to have to get rid of that pressure by passing the Red Dragon if he can. The top 3 are really pushing themselves right now.
Curious to know what the StarWorks strategy was, because I think when Bourdais got in, I think they may have been thinking about Ryan Dalziel for a single stint at the end, but with these yellows and the way it's sort of like played out, they haven't had the opportunity to get Seabass out, but that's why they hired him. He's one of the best in the business, whatever he's driving, whether it's a champ car, a sports car, a Formula 1 car. He is a rapid driver, and he's taken to this task very well this weekend. You can see him now looking really smooth, really consistent.
There is some news developing in GT, and there is a team owner not very happy. What's the story at Turner?
Yes, despite a strong running today, Will Turner, a lot of long faces down here on pit lane. What's going on with the strategy?
Well, you know, it looks like the 69 Ferrari got a wave by when it shouldn't have, and they took advantage of that. They came in and they fueled. So the way we see it, they shouldn't have been allowed to do that. So right now they should either be at the back of the pack, low on fuel, or not where they are. So I don't know. Again, we don't know the whole story, but I think there's a mistake was made. I hope if it was, they'll do something about it. But
You hear the clapping behind you. That's because the leading GT car, the 59, is pitting. So what do you tell Bill on the radio now? How do you recover?
Well, a couple of things. First, the Ferrari wasn't for position, but it is for the championship points race. So that's obviously what we're concerned about now. But today, we have a great car. The BMW is running great. Bill knows what he needs to do. The Turner Motorsport BMW needs to go to the front, and that's what his job is, and hopefully we'll get there.
That's certainly what Bill Auberlin's doing right now, guys.
The success on track for Turner Motorsport is the driving force behind their road car business. Their customers love seeing these iconic blue and yellow BMWs battle for race wins and championship wins, and this is their man, Billy Auberlin. How did you like that through turn 1, Dawes?
That looked like a brilliant move, but I tell you what, Robin Liddell does not want to let go of what was potentially his first victory of the season. They went side by side, and Billy just had to bail. He had to use all of that runoff area.
Man, I've been in that same corner, in that same position so many times. You get down in there and you rub door fenders and bang off each other. Take a look at this. Good run right now. That's where it started, coming off the last corner. Billy's got a good run. He's going to try to go one way, knows he can't, goes to the outside. Now watch this.
He's later on the brakes there. He's trying to roll the speed through the corner, and Robin just leans on him all the way up to the curb. Billy had to take off. There's just not quite as much traction out there, and Robin gets the run up to the S's.
Drove him up over the top of the curb. I think I would have done the same thing, but paybacks are pretty rough sometimes.
From the top of GT to the top of the race, and Daytona Prototypes, unchanged order, but a fierce fight. And we have less than half an hour left to run in this famed 6-hour event. 27 minutes to go. Who do you think's going to do it? This is going to be great. And it's coming your way live here on Speed. We look forward to that. Will it be Alex Gurney? Imagine that. 50 years since his dad first was there. If Alex and John Fogarty could win, remember what happened 1967 when Dan Gurney sprayed the champagne with his victory at Le Mans. Alex and John won their first Grand Am championship. They're all about history and anniversaries.
Change in the second spot here. Look at this. The man, Joao Barbosa, we said he was on a charge. This was just one lap ago, down to the inside of Sebastian Bourdais.
Nice job. Go get that 99. Go get it.
Go get that 99.
Great stuff. Great drive, and a good clean driving by Bourdais. Pruitt is charging hard. We saw him dropping wheels there, coming off of turn 9. He wants a podium.
Doesn't look to me like that. He has that type of speed, though. I don't think Scott's got the car.
Something went off a little bit, we feel, on the 01 in terms of the pace that it had early on to what it has right now. Doesn't seem to be the dominant machine like that looked like they had at the start of this race. Had the pole position. Great run by Pruitt here yesterday and in the early going.
Checked with Memo Rojas there just before that last stop and asked him about the balance. He said ever since the radiator was changed, the car wasn't the same. He didn't know if the splitter got damaged or whatever, but he just said the aero balance went away. Perhaps as the air temperature came up or what have you, it's just a different aero balance on the 01 right now.
Look at Sebastian Bourdais fighting back, guys. I mean, he was dropping off there. Joao Barbosa opened up a big gap on it, but not now. They closed right up, and there's traffic ahead.
So for a guy who does not drive these cars on a regular basis, he's only driven them 2 or 3 times. Were you impressed with the way that he drove when Barbosa went by? He didn't try and fight it, didn't try and desperately hang on. He just gave Joao enough room and then tucked back in.
I didn't expect anything different from him. He's a pro. I mean, he showed us in everything that he can drive a race car. So he knew he was beaten into that corner. It's not over with it yet, though.
Certainly tightening up here in GT, and I agree with you on Bourdais. He was given a task here this weekend, help us win a championship. He's not just here to win the 6-hour. Yeah, he'd love to stand on that top step, but he's got to think of the big picture for his teammates, the Alan Podolicchio.
Robin Liddell, he has won the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen before, but not in a Stevenson Camaro. Many years ago, he won it with Wolf Hensler in a Porsche. He'd love to do it for this team that he's called home for many years in Grand Am.
This is going to get good, I guarantee you, before it's over with. These two guys are ready to throw down.
Well, Billy's in one of those positions because he had to skip a race earlier this year. He's not in the thick of the points battle. His teammate Paul Dallalana is, and even though he's trying to support Paul in his quest for a second GT championship, Billy's going to throw it all on the line here for a win here today. I think he's going to be very aggressive when he gets on the tail of Robin Liddell if he's able to close that gap a little bit more.
Be good for the team, too. The Turner boys need a little shot in the arm, a little confidence boost.
They've really turned things around. We talked about the 50 pounds that they got at the time. Billy Ortman said, that's nothing, that's not enough. Will Turner was standing right beside me. He shook his head. He said, no, Bill, I think that could be the little edge we've been missing. And they won at Mid-Ohio with it, and they finished second at Road America.
At the end of the day, it's the performance that makes the difference. But if there's something that can give you that psychological boost, just to lift the morale, put you in a positive frame of mind to get you going as our leaders come up on the APR Audi. Alex Gurney needs to get through, and he does so effectively. Nice work.
Very clean, good work there by the 52. This is where it gets tricky in this sort of section of the racetrack. There you see it, the 52 slides across to the other side, and Barbosa reads it perfectly. Thinking about that radiator situation with 01 Lee, you know a lot more about this stuff than I. Is there potentially different densities on the rads or anything, or are they running the same stuff?
Same core density on both those units, so there's no aerodynamic difference there as far as rad on rad. It may come down to what Brian was talking about with the splitter. Maybe there's something that's gone amiss there to change that aero balance on the front of the 01.
We don't know what really created the leak in the first place. We never saw any damage to the car, so we assume just a rock got into it, Dorsey, to create that leak. And here we see the GT battle.
Told you this was going to get good. That's got a war written all over it right there.
Well, this is good. Two guys, both who have won the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen. Billy Auberlen won it many years ago with Boris Said in a BMW. And look at, Robin was able just to gap Billy there in a very short space of time, very effectively.
Big time. I mean, that Camaro really is very compliant over that curb there, Dorsey, and that just really, he must have gained a tenth or two right there in that one section of the racetrack.
Third in GT is Jeff Siegel. Look for that FXDD Ferrari. It's a little further back. Ronnie Bremer as we ride now with Siegel. This is the car that's got the GT field hopping mad because it's been very fast. It's been very effective.
I think they've done a great job, and I mean, there are games played. I'm not saying that they're really sandbagging, but I think they're managing the pace of this car very well. Emil's done a brilliant job. Jeff knows the big picture. He really recognizes you can't go forward to go out there and trounce the field. That just gives the other teams more ammunition in terms of they need to slow the Ferrari down. They've had 3 wins on the year. They've had 5 podium finishes. He just sits there and waits, and really impressed with this young man's driving. He's won a championship before, but he's just very savvy.
Before this weekend, Mike Johnson, the team manager at Stevenson, said, you know what, with that 69 Ferrari, he said, we're the same way. He said, but they've got bigger brakes, they've got a lower ride height, they've got bigger tyres, they've got more downforce, they've got better mileage, they've got a bigger fuel tank, and they've got quicker fuel delivery, and they've got paddle shifts. Well, Mike, guess what? Your car's leading the race.
Well, you know what? That's nothing new. This has been going on for as long as I've ever raced. You know, there's always politicking and all of this, you know, that guy's got more than me kind of thing. It's this is a great series to race in, and it's ultra competitive. I'll leave it there.
You have to be a good politician. I mean, it's a game, but look at Barbosa coming. He got a little bit of a side draft there off those GT cars, and he is all over the tail end of this Red Dragon right now. They have gapped Bourdais with the Ford Power, so when you talk about the Ford being quick on the straightaways, this is a high-speed racetrack, and the Chevys are eking out a little bit of a lead now on that Ford Power Riley in third.
Chevy Corvette 1 and 2, 16 3/4 minutes left to run in the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen. Bourdais maintains third, but he's starting to drop back. Look at Barbosa, thought about going the other side of Jeff Siegel.
Look
how
out,
he goes inside.
Brilliant move, what a move. That was fantastic. He saw a crack in the door, and he just filled it.
A power play for sure. I mean, there was just enough room, and he saw that room and took it.
He telegraphed that move back up the track when he thought about going on the inside of Jeff Siegel, and then the gap opened up in the middle, and he grabbed that very opportunistic move. Now let's see if Gurney's got something to come back with.
This car's been so fast here in race trim. Gurney gets held up there by traffic. Barbosa is gone, but it's not over yet. We still have 16 minutes on the board, but what a great move. Reading the GT traffic with Siegel. Let's take another look, Dors.
Had a good run right here, and he knew it. He had to back away right now for just a second. Thought about going inside, didn't take it. Right here, he sees the opening and goes, dives in there.
Gurney just didn't expect it. He thought, well, the GT car was there. That's going to be a pick for me, but there was a needle, an eye of a needle. And watch Barbosa, bang, whoa!
And it was there to do, man. You just had to make that decision.
A little rub, that is just good, hard, aggressive driving. Beautiful job, and good job by Alex Gurney in not making that situation get really ugly.
Shades, the last time we saw Barbosa win was on the streets of Belle Isle, Detroit.
And Gurney just gets stymied.
It just hurts so bad when that happens.
This is hurting him big.
And it was a move like that from Barbosa that got him that victory at Detroit. He did it on his teammate David Donahue. This time it was Gurney, and he's getting buried. Here comes Bourdais. Bourdais lining up for a shot now.
Talk about the meat and the sandwich, and that's the GT leader right now. They're rubbing on. Here comes Bourdais.
He's got to run, but he doesn't have anywhere to go with it. He had the speed, but nowhere to go.
Where's Pruitt? Where's Pruitt? There he is. He's got his own GT traffic to get by. Second and third are through it. We ride with the 0-1 now. He's just got to get past Robin Liddell on the outside, and he does.
Donahue's right behind him, has allowed David to close in on this lead battle as well. When I say the lead, Barbosa is gone. This is now a battle for second.
When we come back, we'll tell you what that lead margin is. But I can tell you, Joao Barbosa for Action Express. There he is at the top of the hill. Bye-bye. We welcome you back for the final 11 minutes of the 2012 Salem 6 Hours of the Glen. It's round 8 of the Rolex Sports Car Series. It's also round 2 of the inaugural North American Endurance Championship. It's been a day to remember here at Watkins Glen, and we're going to take you all the way to the checkered flag. Joao Barbosa has got a 2.1 second lead over Alex Gurney. It was out to 3.8 seconds during the commercial break, so the 99 has reeled Barbosa in somewhat. He's still holding off Sebastian Bourdais in third. There's our race leader. Never won the 6 Hours of the Glen before. This could be a very special day for him. For his teammate Darren Law, he's won in class, but never won overall either.
Well, Barbosa has gapped the rest of this field due to traffic, because I tell you what, Alex Gurney has just responded. He just laid down the fastest lap of this race, a 1:42.7, which backs up to Barbosa's last lap with a little bit of traffic of a 1:44.1. So Gurney is coming back at him. He has not given up.
No doubt, man. On 1:42.8 before that 7 he just put up there, which grabbed the fastest race lap. He is really on a rail right now. It was traffic, there's no doubt about it, and that's the way it is around here. But
Westy is quick too. He's in 6th spot, but the 90 car's running lap times very similar, just a 10th off the fast time set by Gurney. 2 laps in a row of 42.8.
If you freeze the field here, Dorse, positions as they run, the championship would be reduced to 3 points. Ganassi over Starworks. How close do you like it?
Well, it's amazing to me that at the end of a 6-hour race, which is where we're at now, 9 minutes to go, we're breaking the fastest race laps right now. It's the end of the race and the race is on.
And you've got the top 7 on the lead lap, separated by just 10 seconds.
Yeah, and again, just hats off to Continental Tires. A lot of concern. Oh, that was close there. The Audi tried to come back over on line with Joao, the leader, right beside him. But getting back, the track's breaking up a little bit. You'd have to think they're losing time there, but they're running very fast laps on well-worn tires. 22 laps on these tires as they're running the fastest laps of the race.
As we mentioned earlier in the show, the cornerstone teams of Daytona Prototypes, the most successful teams, the Gainsco, the Ganassis, the SunTrust. Now this has been the year for the emerging teams, Action Express, Mike Shank Racing, and Starworks. They chase those guys. They hold those big 3 teams up in high esteem and high regard. But now those smaller teams are coming on strong in 2012, just like Spirit of Daytona here as well. Westbrook's in 6th, not giving up.
Positions 3 through 6 just ran their fastest laps of the race. The racetrack is quick. These guys are driving the wheels off these DP machines. Westy has been flying. He is now just a few hundredths, literally 200ths of a second off of the fastest lap of this race as the leader again hits a little bit of traffic.
Look at Joao, though. He really bustles around those GT cars. He makes them know, I'm coming around the outside. That's what you got to do. No indecision at all. You just slam through.
Oh, this is going to be tight. He's got to thread the needle there between those two. He does it nicely. Opened up for him.
Time check for you. Last time by 1.8 seconds between Barbosa and Gurney. I think it's going to be less than that this time around. We'll see.
There's no quitting Gurney. I guarantee you that. He's driving that car as hard as it can be driven.
Look at Bourdais. Beautiful run by him. Looking really solid in 3rd place. Pruitt hanging in there. Donahue is coming back. Action Express, the engineering team, have done a brilliant job with their cars in race trim. They've been phenomenal here today at the Glen.
Sebastian Bourdais is going to complete the IZOD IndyCar Series on the road and street course races for the rest of this year. But Sebastian, come back and play with us in Grand Am anytime you like, mate. What a drive today.
You know what it's good about it? Not only is he fast, but he's fast. He's really aware of the cars around him. He runs clean. He's just doing the job he's paid to do.
1.5 seconds the lead now between Barbosa and Gurney. Gurney took nearly 4/10 of a second out of that lead on that last lap as they both encountered traffic.
6 3/4 minutes to go. Can Alex Gurney and his Red Dragon do anything about Joao Barbosa? 2 Corvettes, one-on-one, head-to-head for victory here. Gurney and Fogarty have done it before, but the Action Express men have not. There's the second Action Express car. David Donahue behind the wheel. Terry Borchella, his co-driver now. Good job from those boys. Solid team effort from the 5 and the 9.
Really solid job, and everyone raised their eyebrows when they had the switch up with the teammates just a few races ago. It brought immediate success at Detroit, and I think has really lit a fire underneath this team. It has really changed the whole dynamic. There's a spring in their step. They've got good race cars underneath them, and the driver pairings are working well.
Running in that 60th anniversary for the Chevrolet Corvette. Special livery. they brought out at Detroit, and that change in livery and change in driver lineup brought a change in their success.
Robin Liddell's doing a good job leading. Bill Arberlin looks like he gapped him a little bit more. Again, Bill was right up behind him a little while ago. Robin has opened the distance. Could have been some traffic that helped there.
And these guys as well, we talked about the issues with the GT tires this weekend. They had to make some adjustments with their camber settings, their tire pressure settings. Well, these guys, 22 laps on the board, are now running lap times within 1/10 of a second of their fastest of the race. I mean, just a brilliant job. The ambient temperature dropped a little bit here today for race day, Dorsey, and that's really brought these tires right into their sweet spot.
That was a godsend. That drop in temperature made all the difference. Yesterday was quite hot. Had a lot of tire problems. Not today. Today's got a nice cold breeze. It's keeping that track temperature down is what it's doing.
The wounded FXDD Ferrari of championship leader Jeff Siegel and Emil Asentato. What is this going to do for the championship lead if they stay as they are? Robin Liddell will gain 5 more points on Siegel and Asentato. The lead will be down to 16. Look at this fight here, though, for 4th. Ronnie Bremer is holding off Jonathan Bomarito in the 70, the Black Mazda, and Guy Cosmo. He's looking for redemption. The things that went wrong on the streets of Belle Isle in Detroit, he wants to prove that our ESM Patron team can get a good result here in Grand Am.
Well, remember their strategy call when we were about to go back to green. They brought that 03 car down that was running in second spot to top him up with fuel. They felt if we went green the rest of the way, we wouldn't make it. They were on the same fuel strategy as everyone else. The extended yellow basically hurt them in their decision, so they're having to fight their way back through the pack.
If you're a Gurney fan, if you're a Bob Stallings Gainscoat Red Dragon fan, start cheering your boy on with 4 minutes to go. Alex has brought it down to 1.3 seconds. Is it too little, too late? Can he do it, Dors?
Well, he's consistently the quickest car on the racetrack. Can he do it? He can get there. He's already there. Can he pass? That's going to be a different story.
Bourdais just set his fastest lap of the race at 1:43.1. That is quicker by 2 or 3 tenths over the 2 leaders. Don't count out Sebastian Bourdais in the 8 machine either.
And wouldn't that be something?
Can you believe this? In this 6-hour race, it's going to come down to the final 3.5 minutes to decide and determine a winner.
And a lot of GT traffic in front of these guys. They're going to get to it, and they're going to get to it at the worst place, right up there going into the inner loop.
Remember the 99 car had a horrendous run through traffic there for a couple of laps. Now established this big lead that Barbosa has. He's caught one right there. That's not good. Here comes Gurney. He's got a charge going. He should be able to clear that Mazda before the brake zone for the inner loop, no problem.
Goes to the inside, takes a shorter route around. It's going to give him a little run.
I can tell you that gap is less than 1.3 seconds now. It's about 0.8 of a second. There's not much between it. Barbosa's going to feel like what it was like when he was applying the pressure to Alex Gurney.
He's wringing the neck of that number 9 machine. He was sideways there. He had opposite lot coming through the inner loop there as he went over that curb. He's got another GT car right in the middle of the apex. Here comes Gurney. Can he return the favor in the same corner where Joao Barbosa took the lead?
He's going to wait, he's going to bide his time, he's got to get around and clear that 59 Porsche. Does so effectively, get the power down, get a run out of the boot. Climb that hill. You've only got a couple of laps to go, Alex Gurney.
He's got some grip, the car is working, he tightened his hands and still was able to get the power down without it squirming around on the rear end. This is really tight. Barbosa now has his work cut out to keep the lead.
Gary Nelson and then Bob Stallings, the men behind these teams, Action Express and Gainsco. They both want to be victorious at the Glen. They've got the upper hand on Ganassi. It's a huge boost for both of them, but who's going to do it? 2 minutes to go in this 6-hour race, and it's Corvette versus Corvette.
Alex gets
2 laps.
Yeah, he's going to get a good run down this front straightaway. One of the best places to pass is in turn 1. Not enough room right there. They're going to run into a whole mess of traffic on the last lap, probably.
And if they were 10 seconds further down the road, they'd have probably got the white flag, but with 1:50 on the board, they're going to give them this plus 1 more. So 2 laps for Gurney to get the lead.
This is where Alex has got to look ahead. He's got to look right past that car he wants to pass. He got to look at the GT cars and see, how am I going to get through this? Where's my hole to get into?
Cleared 1. There's 3 up ahead, though.
Watch this. Can Gurney just time it through here? Barbosa is balked. Look at this. There's a traffic jam right in front of the leaders of this race. What can Gurney do?
Pick your line. Pick your line. You've got to be decisive. Where do you do it? Alex has got to go. Oh, that's bad timing.
The 73 went to move outside of the Mazda and cost Alex Gurney big.
They are coming to white. There's 1.5 laps to run in this motor race, and that hurt the Red Dragon big time.
Patrick Lindsay there did not see the second DP car coming. He tried to get around the Mazda. That really hurt Alex Gurney.
He wanted to go up that inside, but there was no room. There was no way they were going to let him in there. But he got hurt by it.
Let's show you what happened. What are we talking about? Keep your eyes on the Porsche, the Mazda.
Watch the little move there by the 73. He tries to jink to the outside. Gurney had to go the wide way around, had to lift.
They put him in a dirty area. Look at Bob Stallings, the reaction to it.
It's tense down there on those pit boxes, and why wouldn't it be? The Salem 6 Hours of the Glen is on the line. It has been a nightmare season for these boys, the 99. The car they're chasing, they've already been to victory lane. They did it in Detroit. These guys are desperate for a win.
Now we're going to have a one-lap shootout like we've never seen.
One to go. Has Gurney got something? It's been a terrific drive by both cars, by both drivers, by both co-drivers. Either would be deserved winners for sure. And in GT, Stevenson Motorsport, they started on the pole, but it was with the 75, not the 57. Is Robin Liddell and John Edwards going to drive to victory lane? They've got the margin over Turner Motorsport's Billy Oberlin. Hanging in there.
Yeah, without a mistake right now, they've got it in the bag. You can't make up that much ground without a mistake.
Liddell's had 4 podiums this year. He hasn't had the win. He's looking good for today, but he's still got a lap to drive.
Gurney is not giving up, I can tell you that. Look at the attitude of that car through the inner loop. Alex still believes he has a chance on Joao Barbosa.
And there is traffic to deal with, and that always is the determining factor on the last lap.
And you know what? They're not in the championship race, the 99 boys, so let's throw caution to the wind. Let's go for it. A quarter of a lap left to run. Can Gurney do it, or can Barbosa hold on?
They both have nothing to lose. Joao Barbosa is still in the thick of the points, but remember, his teammate Darren Law has more points than he with that driver switch, so Joao Barbosa cannot win this driver championship. He wants to win races. He's going to hang on for all he's got here in these final few turns.
What a comeback from lost ground by Alex Gurney. There's traffic ahead.
Man.
This is not over yet. This is road racing at its best.
They're going to get the traffic at the worst place on this racetrack, right before start-finish line, determining who's going to win this race.
Who are you cheering for? Who do you think's going to do it? This famed event has delivered an incredible finish. It's Chevrolet Corvette 1 and 2. It's Action Express versus Gainsco. I think Barbosa's got enough. To the line he has. Action Express are in victory lane. Barbosa and Law, their first victory in this classic event. How about that?
What a fantastic race. Great job by everyone there on the podium today. Joao, Alex, and Sebastian, brilliant drives.
Hey, Gary Nelson, you can smile now. The pressure is off. It's going to be a magical day for Chevrolet. They've got the win in Daytona Prototypes and just a few more corners for GT. Robin Liddell is going to keep his championship hopes well and truly alive with a victory in just a matter of moments.
He's got to climb out of the toe of the boot here. It's an uphill run. He's got to get all the way up through and onto that front straightaway. He's got enough speed at hand, certainly enough distance.
So, guess what? While we wait for the GT winner to come across the line, that 9 car got the points in the North American Endurance Championship at the 3-hour mark. It gets the other maximum points at the 6-hour mark. What a day for the number 9.
20 points in that championship. That is a massive move by that team. They came into this North American Endurance Championship round 2, I believe, in 5th spot, and that is huge.
Robin Liddell has been waiting 6 years to go back to victory lane at the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen. It's his second win. It'll be John Edwards' first win in the 6-hour. Well done to Stevenson Motorsports. They're back in this championship chase, big time. And Mike Johnson thanks his men for the Turner Motorsport boys, Billy Johnson, Paul Dell'Alana, and Bill Oberlin. That's a good second place. They almost got there, just a second behind. And when we come back, we're going to hear from our winners. It's time to celebrate. The 31st running of the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen is complete, and Joao Barbosa and Darren Law victorious, the closest ever winning margin under green flag conditions in the history of this event. That is special. Alex Gurney, gutsy drive. Sebastian Bourdais, quality drive. We've got so much to talk about in this race. That was one to remember. We need to tell you about our eHarmony move of the race. You know, their catchphrases where first dates have a better chance of becoming something more. Well, this wasn't a first date, but it became something more. It became the move of the race to win.
Just a brilliant brilliant move. Watch this as the GT traffic there of Jeff Siegel, and look at that. Talk about threading the needle. He dived it down in there, made it stick. Good clean driving by Gurnick. That was awesome.
It is time to go to victory lane. Brian Till is there. How about it, Bri?
Yeah, Joao Barbosa climbing out. Maybe the eHarmony move of the race should be actually Darren Law and Joao Barbosa, the pairing, because it seems to be pretty harmonious. Wow, actually, is probably what I should say. Those final laps take us back to those last 15 minutes. That move on the 99, talk me through it.
I mean, it was so competitive. Everybody had such a good pace, and I saw an opportunity. I had to push it a little bit. I saw an opportunity that the 99 got hold on traffic, and I thought that it's now or never, and went for the move. I mean, it was really clean racing. Really proud to be fighting with some of these drivers nowadays. I've been really unlucky in the past few races, but I mean, what can I say? I mean, the Corvette was awesome during the whole race, during 6 hours. These guys did an amazing job. Action Express, they put together a car that was unbelievable.
Darren, get in here. For you, you've had a class victory here, but now an overall victory, and probably more importantly, this victory is going to close down in the championship. You guys took maximum points in the North American Endurance Championship today, and it's going to close down that championship lead in DP.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know what to say other than it's so good. The guys worked so hard, and Joao, he's the man. What a great stint, great final stint, great job, and I just got to thank Chevy, Corvette, Action Express, everybody, ECR Engines. I mean, it's been a great weekend, and it's great for our points.
Congratulations, guys. Win number 2.
It's win number 2 for the year, but for both those drivers, that's a special one in their career. It's the first 6-hour win for them. In GT, Robin Liddell, you heard him on the radio as we were going to the break saying, great call, guys, great call. He loved the strategy for he and John Edwards. The Turner boys there, and then the championship leaders, importantly, getting on the podium. But today, Jamie Howe, it's all about Stevenson in GT.
It is. It's a great day for Stevenson Motorsports. Robin Liddell bringing that car to the checkered flag. This one came down to teamwork. How proud are you of your guys?
I'm so proud of the guys. They did an awesome job today. I'm just really emotional because I've been fighting so hard this year. You know, we just never seem to catch a break, as it were. We've had solid results, but no real pace to get it done. And John did an awesome job. We had no AC for the better part of the race, and he stayed in there for 2.5 to 3 hours just to make my stint a bit easier at the end, and he did an awesome job. So congrats to all the guys. Great strategy. We finished with half a gallon. The BMW pushed us hard, as did a lot of other cars today. Grand Am didn't make it easy for us, giving us a stop-go, and really I think there was a wreck on the front straight, or the beginning of one. We should have got let away with that. But anyway, we came back. We had a strong car thanks to Chevy, Stevenson Motorsports. The Camaro was awesome today.
John Edwards, after a day of so much struggle, so much fighting, so much competition, how rewarding is it to be standing in victory lane?
Oh, I can't even describe it. It's been a really tough race, and it's been actually a really tough past few races, and we've come away with some good results, but the win has always just eluded us, and for whatever reason, it's always fallen away. And on that last lap, I don't think I've ever been more nervous in my life when Robin said, you know, fuel reserve with about 2.5 laps to go. We weren't sure we were going to make it, and when he came out of the last corner, it all just went away, and all the nervousness went away. And congratulations to the Stevenson team. They've done an incredible job fighting back from some penalties and you know, and strategy calls that we're not sure were correct, but they've done an incredible job to get us back to the front.
Great drives, great strategies. Congratulations.
First win for the young Edwards, the young talent in Stevenson colours. It's his second class win. And young drivers, did you listen to what Robin Liddell said? We had a call go against us, but we never gave up. Hey, when we come back, we've got more people to talk to. Stay with us. Brian Till, what about that drive by the men in the Red Dragon? Just incredible.
Yeah, the Red Dragon back on it today. I'm looking at Alex Gurney's back. It looks like the monkey's gone. Congratulations after the luck that you guys had. What a race there at the end, and what a great compliment from Joao Barbosa to say it was fun to race with somebody that you could actually race with.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say the monkey's gone. I mean, I feel like it's still there. That was, you know, pretty disappointing because the car was so good, and just, I mean, caught a GT at precisely the wrong point, and yeah, Joao put a nice move on, and that was it.
Well, congratulations. Great to see you guys back at least on the podium. Jamie?
Well, for Billy Johnson, Paul Dalla Bill Auberlen, you were pushing so hard during that last stint. Could you have done it if you had more time?
No, I mean, maybe, shoot. Robin was so good. I'm not kidding you. When's the last time we saw a race go perfectly to plan? Paul, perfect. Billy Johnson there, great job, drove it up to the front, and then I had such a good car. The Turner guys gave me such an amazing car. It drove perfect. Well, Robin was perfect, and I'm just like, make one mistake. I've teamed up with him before. He's a great driver, but I'm so happy to be with these guys, so thank you very much.
Congratulations on another podium, guys.
You know what, for so much angst that was going on in the paddock amongst the drivers, that was quite a pleasant end to this race. That's for sure. They all seem to be enjoying their racing. Hey, time to talk the North American Endurance Championship. These are unofficial points at this moment, but look at this. Action Express goes from last to first in this one race meeting.
Yeah, and we go down to the wire now to Indy, and if you win there, you get 20, and if you finish second, you get 16. So a 4-point swing. Any one of those top 4 teams, if they win, are assured of the championship. Awesome stuff.
GT Dawson, it looks like this. Our 2 winners today were the big winners in the North American Endurance Championship. Stevenson to the top by 5.
Stevenson looks good unless they have a disaster over there at Indy. You know, they're sitting there pretty strong.
And Brumos still in it as well in 3rd place, so that's nice and tight. That wraps it up for the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen. The race just seemed to fly by. So glad you could be with us for the live coverage. Dorse, how did you enjoy that one, particularly the closing laps?
I was afraid coming into this that this could be a 6-hour boring race. I was just so wrong. The closing laps were fantastic. Best racing I've seen for a long, long time. Closest finish under green. My heart's still going.
It was a fantastic race. We head to Indy next. That's going to be very special. We talk about who will be the first-time winner there in the Rolex Series. Everyone who's won their first time has been at the top of the game. We talked about the Jeff Gordons, the Michael Schumachers. Well, we have a lot of those DP drivers right now, Lee, who are totally on top of their game.
And after working so hard for the last 5 weeks, the teams and drivers and crews and families get a nice break for several weeks in the Grand Am Rolex Series. So excited to say that we're going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The Brickyard is next on the calendar, on the schedule for Grand Am. How cool is that? We are so pleased you watch Sports Cars on Speed, the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series, the second round of the North American Endurance Championship. Boy, there was everything today at the Glen. The famed Watkins Glen. What a day. We'll see you at Indy.